Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? I feel like this week's been going by in a way that I don't know what day it is. But today is Wednesday. We are here live for you to 2 o'clock, where Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Scraby will take over on Gwynn and Chris as we get you ready for Game 3 of a 4-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's coming up later on this evening. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show will start at 5:40. First pitch will be at 6:40. The Padres will try to do something they haven't done all month, and that's win 2 games in a row. They haven't lost 2 games in a row in the month of July. They haven't won 2 games in a row in the month of July. We're talking about the 500 play that they have had since their 7-0 start. Talking about 500, I mean, that's kind of the month of July they've had. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. I thought last night's game, I got to go to last night's game as a fan. I really enjoyed it. It's always good to be down there. It was the first time it wasn't a sellout in a long time. Padres have sold out so many of their games so far in the first half, though. And the cool thing about, maybe a little bit less of a crowd, just felt like it was, for a little bit when I was in the stadium, felt a little old school with some empty seats, but the energy and the vibes at the ballpark are still immaculate all the time. Got down there early, went to Bubs, had a drink with my buddy, then went into the ball game. I met very nice couple in my section who listens to the show. They were very, very kind. They had asked, "Are you Braden from the radio station?" I was like, "Yes, that's me." And so they're like, "Oh, we're huge fans of the station, huge fans of the show." So it was cool to talk to them. And then they did something really cool. My brother had seats literally the row behind us, and they offered to switch. So we switched places. My brother and his friend switched places, so I got to watch the game with him and my friend. It was a good time overall. Got to walk around the ballpark a little bit, which was great. Really take everything in. Last night, we're getting to the game. I posted it on my Instagram. I didn't consume this product. I did not consume this product, but I have discovered, and maybe this was already a thing. But at the ballpark yesterday, I had like 15 people reach out about where I found that. I didn't even find it. My other friend and his girlfriend were at the game, and they were waiting in line for Mr. Softy. And at the Mr. Softy, I don't know if it's at every Mr. Softy, but at the Mr. Softy, down in section 1 something on the first base side, just across from Seaside Market, has a Western Metal Supply Company building box, like you see the pudding in, filled with a brownie and then like 3 levels of soft serve that you can pick whatever soft serve, and then you can top it off. It's with chocolate sauce, caramel sauce, sprinkles or Oreos, whatever topping you want to do. Thing was massive. It's like $15. People were like, "Wow, that looks amazing." So I did not consume that. I went to Ann's Dry Cleaning instead, or Ann, whatever they call it at the ballpark. Got some gelato. Finish off the night. And when I got back to my seat, I saw what I thought was the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life. That's a Luis Arraez home run in person. I'm so used to Luis Arraez not hitting home runs that when he made contact with the ball, and I'm sitting 216. That's where I've been sitting this year. I'm sitting in 216. So I see a lot of fly balls from left-handers that just look like, well, you know what? It's got the distance. But so many of them have gone foul that I was not really fazed by it. I was like, I don't think it's going out. It's probably going to be. Plus, it's Luis Arraez at the plate. That guy didn't hit any home runs. And then it starts to drift and drift and drift like my camera's doing right now on YouTube. I got to stop talking with my hands, dude. It's the camera freaks out every single time. Ball starts to drift and drift and drift. And I'm like, I look down at Luis. And Luis is like, he knows it's gone. He's like looking at the Diamondbacks too. He's like looking into the dugout. Go back and look at that clip. He's looking into the dugout. He knew it was gone. And so I stand up and I'm like, did he do it? And then the crowd went nuts. And I was like, yeah, he did it. He did. It's great. A Luis Arraez pump late in a ball game. Not on my bingo card. A Nick Pivetta outing like he had, that probably on my bingo card going into it. He looked great last night, too. So we talked about the great, the good, and the bad/ugly from 2 days ago. We talked about it yesterday, but we talked about it from the game 2 days ago where Manny got his 2000th hit. And I thought they did a really good job in honoring him before last night's game. They had his jersey in a frame. They had the lineup card. They had a Orioles baseball, Padres baseball. It was very nice. Well done. You get to see a little montage of Manny Machado and his highlights in a Padres uniform and an Orioles uniform. It was pretty cool to see. I thought the Padres did a really good job with that. But to talk about the good, the great, the good, and the bad from last night, I would say the great thing last night was the Padres were able to get yet another 1-0 victory. Overall, getting a win last night was very impressive, considering how the Padres played offensively. Luis Arraez's home run that he hit, when he hit that home run, last night he became the only Padre in the game to touch second base. At that point in time. What was that, the 8th inning? 7th inning? 7th inning? Bottom of the 7th inning. When Luis Arraez hit the home run to go up 1-0, he became the first Padre in last night's game to touch second base. That's where you're at right there with offensive production. I mean, you had a pitcher's duel between Merrill Kelly and Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta, I thought, was outstanding. I think he could be considered part of the great part of last night's game. Let's say it's good. Pivetta had a good outing, great outing. I mean, 5 2/3. It'd be nice to see him go 6 innings, especially with the state of the bullpen in terms of usage. But he shuts out the Diamondbacks. He only allows 2 hits. He had 7 punch-outs last night. And there was a moment early in the game. And this is why, I judge everything in real time. So in real time, when this particular instance happened, I was like, what are the Padres doing? Top of the 4th inning. It's the only time Pivetta had a little bit of issue last night. Top of the fourth inning. Corbin Carroll led off the inning with a single. Ketel Marte worked a walk. There's first and second with nobody out. Geraldo Perdomo grounded out to Nick Pivetta in front of the mound, in which he was able to get Perdomo out, but then Corbin Carroll got to third, and Ketel Marte was at second. You had Josh Naylor coming up, followed by Eugenio Suarez and Lourdes Gurriel Jr., with runners on second and third and nobody out in the top of the 4th inning. And the Padres elected to intentionally walk Josh Naylor, which I thought was the most head-scratching move I had ever seen. It was so head-scratching. We're going to intentionally walk Josh Naylor? Does anybody know the guy on deck right now is just, he's playing with some serious magic all season long? I mean, he had that insane... I thought that it was a little lucky on the hit and run from a couple of nights ago on Monday night or whatever it was. Yeah, Monday night. Where Suarez got it just inside the bag. I mean, the guy's got 1,000 home runs this year. He should be traded at the deadline if Arizona loses some games. He's off to a great start to the year. If he hits the market, in the trade market, there's going to be so many teams clamoring for Eugenio Suarez. And so you load the bases with Eugenio Suarez and 1 out. I was like, what are they doing? What do I know? Obviously, there's a good matchup there between Nick Pivetta and Eugenio Suarez because he blew him away on 3 pitches. Just blew him away like he wasn't even there. That'll get you fired up. That'll get Nick Pivetta fired up. So he punches out Suarez, faces Lourdes Gurriel Jr., strikes him out swinging, leaves the bases loaded, and comes off screaming like the Hulk off the mound, as he should. That was a great situation there by Nick Pivetta. He was outstanding. I thought he was outstanding all night. I was looking up, and from this vantage point, from section 216, I can actually see, because on the first base side ribbon board, the ribbon boards are the ones that go around the stadium, those the ones that go around. They have the pitch metrics. It's obvious. It's probably for the pitchers. It's right above the Padres dugout. I can't see it from the press box when I go as a media member, but I saw it in 216. The IVB for Nick Pivetta last night is fastballs. I mean, he was at 98, and his induced vertical break I saw at least a couple times get up to 22 inches. We talked about this a couple of months ago about Nick Pivetta and his induced vertical break. Again, for a refresher, induced vertical break is what gives the appeal to hitters and to the human brain that a ball is rising rather than falling, because it is falling at a slower rate than what the brain thinks it's going to fall at. So when you see that induced vertical break, the way it looks, the ball off his fingers looks like it's rising on the hitter. And if you get 18 inches or more, that is a nasty fastball. He was getting 22 inches on his induced vertical break on his fastball. I mean, that's almost unhittable most nights. Nick Pivetta was outstanding. Padres bullpen, again, continued to be outstanding, helping out this Padres organization, helping out the Padres make it through this ceremonial first half of the season. But the other thing that was very important, and also a tip of the cap, or should I say a hang of a star, was the defensive play of Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, both of those home run robberies, and yes, they were home run robberies. I mean, they took away home runs last night, 2 of them. One of them was early in the game when Jackson Merrill took away what would have been a Corbin Carroll 2-run homer. That happened in the top of the 5th inning. With the runner on base, Corbin Carroll almost made it a 2-0 game, but Jackson Merrill, like he did in Philly, timed it up. He said it after the robbery in Philly, which was a little bit different because the center field fence is shorter in Philadelphia. He said, last year I was trying to sprint to the wall and get to the wall as fast as I can and then react. And this year I've timed it and I know how to time it, and it's actually one of my more favorite catches to make. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Taking away a home run is pretty impressive. I mean, he looked so smooth doing that back there. Just cruised back, rolled up, snagged it. Easy. That took 2 runs off the board for Arizona. And then later on in the game, in the 8th inning, Jason Adam had come in for Adrian Morejon. Geraldo Perdomo grounded out, and then Josh Naylor. Oh, we've seen this episode before. Have we not seen this movie before? We saw it on Monday night. Former Padre, hurting his team late. Josh Naylor comes up, puts a charge into a ball to right field. It looked gone off the bat. Maybe with a little thick air, kind of slowed it down a little bit, but then Fernando goes up and steals a home run from Josh Naylor. That would have tied the game. That would have tied the game in the 8th inning after the Padres finally got a run on a Luis Arraez solo shot in a game that the Padres had only had one base runner, or should I say one batter, touch second base at any point in time during the game. That would have been catastrophic. We could still be playing right now based on the way both offenses were playing. But Fernando went up and made a phenomenal catch to steal a home run from Josh Naylor. Padres couldn't get anything really in the top of the ninth, in the bottom of the 8th inning to add. Suarez comes in. He looked pretty good. Looked a lot better against Arizona this time out than he did last time in Arizona. And the Padres win 1-0 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Get their 49th win of the year. They're back to 7 games above 500. And by the way, if anybody's scoreboard watching, not that you should be, and not that we are celebrating this because it's at the middle of July and we're not even at the All-Star break yet, but the Dodgers have lost 5 straight games and they have looked completely lost in their last 5 games that they've played. So the Padres have gained 2 games back. Now, the downside is the San Francisco Giants, who had probably the luckiest win I've ever seen in my life last night, on a walk-off inside the park home run up in San Francisco against the Phillies. They have won 4 straight. So as the standings look at right now, it's the Dodgers in first, followed by the Giants 5 games back, and the Padres at 6 games back. Padres are 1 game out of the final wild card spot, trailing San Francisco. But they're right there and they're treading water. Again, I've talked about it before. I don't think you can really start freaking out about the team until after the trade deadline passes. And I'm sure the Padres got a lot in store at the trade deadline. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to talk a little bit more about last night's game when we come back. I want to take your phone calls today. As I mentioned, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. A little bit later, we're going to talk about what we've learned from the first half in Major League Baseball in general. Got a hot seat list already for the managers, 3 managers that might be on the hot seat at this point in time, according to CBS Sports. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Jackson Merrill and where he's at right now, because he continues to be in a deep slump. And I don't know what the solutions are aside from him pulling himself out of it. We're just getting started. Braden Surprenant Show underway. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:22 on a Wednesday morning. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I have no idea what day it is. I think it's Thursday. I don't know why I think it's Thursday. I think it's Thursday. By the way, Frank's here.
It would be a Wednesday is what
it is. Wednesday. Wednesday. Last night, I thought it was Wednesday the entire time. I have no idea. I don't know why. I think today is Thursday. I don't know why. And I've almost screwed that up multiple times. Going to work today, I thought we were doing the round table like 4 times. That's not why I'm wearing this. We're going out of the ballpark today. Frank and I are. But I've thought today was Thursday probably 15 times. I almost said it. That's why I was getting so confused with recapping the games of last night and then 2 days ago. Is it the 4-game series throwing me off? Is it the fact that today's not a day game throwing me off? What is going on here? I don't know.
I think it goes back to last week because you said you felt like it was Saturday all day Friday. So the
4th of July
4-day
did
week
feel
broke you.
Yep. You're right. That might be part of it. Also, trying to plan OTL this weekend as well. I'm spearheading the entire thing. Let me ask you if this is okay.
Go ahead.
We'll get to it. So I kind of spearheaded the thing with OTL.
Mm-hmm.
I got the team signed up.
Yes.
Okay. I got the shirts made. Okay.
Sick invite, by the way.
I said you could come. I gave you 2 shirts. You have more shirts than guys that are playing. Aren't you coming on Saturday?
I am coming on Saturday, yes.
What time are you going to plan on being there?
What time does it start?
Oh, man. This might be out of your wheelhouse, dude.
What time is your first game?
Well, the games start at 7. They first round of games start at 7:30 in the morning.
Oh, boy.
So that's part of the problem. And if you want to park on the island,
I'm going to need to be there at 5 in the morning, aren't I?
It's possible.
Great.
I did. So here's the thing.
I will be there. I will be there in spirit on Saturday.
I bought 2 parking passes for OTL.
Okay.
So I got the team signed up. I paid for the parking, all this stuff. All I asked the 12 people in the group chat of the 4 teams that we have is, I need 2 people to provide a cooler. I need 2 people to fill the cooler. I need 2 people to get ice. And I need 2 people to drive. Or whatever it was. 2, 4, 6. And then I had 2 people do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I'm not responsible for any of that stuff. I feel like
you're going to end up being responsible for all of it.
Well, I feel like I feel like that's fair.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I got everything set, and then I said I was like, I paid for everything, for the shirts and the whatever and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a more than reasonable ask.
Instead of just splitting it, it's 2 guys fill the cooler, 2 guys do this, and then at the end, whoever owes maybe a little bit here or there, and then whoever drives down there doesn't have to pay for anything. I think that's more than fair.
Absolutely.
But the problem is I'm dealing with, I am the oldest of this group. That is said one of problems. Actually, I'm not the oldest. There's my 2 friends are not 24.
Ruh-roh.
But yes, the 24-year-olds, aka my brother and his friends, are just being like, well, I don't want to do it. And then Sushi Sam's like, well, I'm just going to Uber down there. Okay, well, somebody needs to take responsibility for some of these things here, okay? I feel like it's a fair ask.
It's going to be you, is what it's going to be.
I'm not driving down there. We do have parking, though. So if some of them are Ubering enough, maybe I don't need the second parking pass. Maybe you can take the second parking pass. I also know a guy that knows the guy that runs the gate, apparently, for parking. Maybe you just go down there and sweet talk the guy.
See, I don't wake up early, especially on weekends, so I will be there in spirit.
I think if you text Tom Doyle and just be like, hey, man, I just want to go down there and cover it.
Also,
I think you could probably roll in whatever you want.
Also,
yes,
NCAA 26 came out. So
comes out tomorrow, doesn't it?
I might, pre-release is already out, but
okay.
I'm sorry. I love you and all, but I value my sleep. Especially since I don't get much during the week.
But it's over the line.
I don't think it's over the line. I wouldn't expect you to wake up early in the morning.
OTL, over the line.
Oh, never mind.
That's what OTL stands for.
Gotcha.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Prolific in the chat. If I pull up, can I play? That's possible because knowing this crew, we might need a sub or 2. I already got one guy that's trying to fight his way off the IL right now. So there might be an open spot. But the problem is, like, you got to practice a little bit.
You got to have backup shirts, too.
Oh, I have shirts. I have a shirt for Prolific. Are you kidding me?
Well, there you go.
Of course I got shirts for Prolific. So maybe he pulls up and can throw him in again. It's 3 games guaranteed. 3 games guaranteed. So if you go 0-2 in your first 2 games, you get the consolation bracket, whatever. I don't know if I want to go to the second weekend or not, but we'll see what we got. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be there, dude.
He hasn't been here in a while, as a matter of fact.
I think he's MIA. I think SB is MIA. Should be fun. We're going to go out and hit on Friday at Fiesta.
Nice.
So I'll be down there. Hopefully we got full 4 teams there ready to go. Because so far it's been like, yeah, I'll go hit OTL, but they don't say this. They just wait for something better to come up and like, man, Padre game. Got to go to the Padre game. So we're going to go hit on Friday night down at Fiesta. It should be a fun time. Looking forward to it. We want to talk about Mike Shildt and last night. We got some good sound from last night's game. He got tossed yesterday for arguing balls and strikes. When he came out of the dugout to argue, and it was Pavetta, Padres were pitching. That particular pitch was not worth getting ejected for. It was the pitch before to Gavin Sheets, where even I in 216 was going, that is absurd. I was that guy. I was the meme. It's a ball from here, Blue. Guys looking from the airplane.
Yes.
That's a strike, Blue. Where'd that miss? The Gavin Sheets one. And they posted it. Kevin Acee posted his daily newsletter. It was like a foot above the zone. What have been ball for?
Wait, no. Oh, the one to Sheets.
The one to Sheets.
Oh,
the one that Pavetta threw was a strike. I mean, or whatever. The one that Pavetta threw was off the plate. It was off the plate.
That was not a strike.
That was not a strike. But it was built up. It was built up anger.
Yeah.
From Shildt. Because Shildt was letting him have it early in that game.
As those things are. And it was also the guy last night. Was it Valentine was the home plate umpire the night before? He wasn't great either. So it's not just, it wasn't just pent up frustration over the ball strike calls from last night. It was from the night before also.
Yes. The one before was also bad. But Shildt, I thought Shildt handled it the best in the post game. Do we have the sound of him talking about it in the post game like that?
We do. We have him talking about Pavetta and then everything that led up to.
I thought he handled that very, very well. We'll get to that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standings #1 Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Baseball coverage on 97th The Fan, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. We're going to get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. We're going to talk more about Jackson Merrill later on, just because it's painful to watch him struggle, because it's bothering him so much. And the thing is, and I mentioned a couple of days ago, Jackson Merrill, this is like the first time. I haven't followed his entire life, obviously. But just knowing from a standpoint of coaching high school sports and seeing youth sports, the players that make it to this level, at the major league level, or in the NFL, or the NBA, or anything like that, they've never not been the greatest player on their team. So when you watch high school games, if you got kids in high school, or you're watching even youth, like your youth players, I'm telling you right now, like as much as you think little Johnny's good, you will know if he's a professional, potentially could be a professional talent based on a couple of things. Obviously, height is a big thing. So, and I try to tell parents this in the nicest way, because parents love their kids, right? I mean, they adore their kids. I'm not a parent, so I'm not at that level yet. People always say when you have kids, and when I do eventually have kids, it changes your worldview a lot, right? So from that perspective, just understand, I don't have kids. But I do understand, like, a lot of parents are going to be all about, their kid all the time, it makes a lot of sense. And when I try to tell parents the nicest way, just experience with the recruiting, okay? Just experience with college coaches showing up. And obviously this is football, but it definitely applies to a lot of other areas and a lot of other sports. Size is like number one. So if you look at yourself and you're just a parent and you got a kid that you think is going to be really good, he's a really good athlete, right? At a young age. If you look at you and your wife, or you look at you and your husband, and neither of you are 6 feet tall, and nobody in your family is 6 feet tall, and your kid probably is not going to be 6 feet tall, it's going to be very hard for your kid, your child, to may play at the next level. It's just factual. And there's a lot of great players that I've coached over the years. There's a lot of great players I've seen at the high school level that are really, really good high school players that are 1 inch too small or 2 inches too small. And they're like 5'11", 5'10". It's not even like they're small athletes, right? So that's a big play. The other one is just natural ability. And you see these kids. Like, there's a kid we have right now at Cathedral that's one of my corners that is arguably one of the most athletic kids I've ever seen. Actually, we have two. There's two kids that I think are just far above everybody else in terms of athleticism. One of them plays receiver. He runs routes better than D1 college players right now. That's what I thought. We have a receivers coach. His name is Quinn Early. Some of you might have heard of him. Played in the NFL for a long period of time. Played for the Chargers here. Guy knows his stuff. He said, I've never seen a kid at this level run routes like he runs. He's very athletic. He is drastically better than all the other kids. The other one, the one that I coach on defense, has like 35 offers. His natural instinct and athleticism is just far beyond everybody else. These are two kids that have never struggled in terms of on-field performance in their life. They've always been the best player. They're not at that level yet, but these are the type of players that you see on Sundays. Really, you see on Saturdays, and then you see on Sundays. It's a different level. You could say that about a lot of players that have rolled through here. Like Reggie Bush. Like, go back and think about Reggie Bush's highlights. Reggie Bush was a man playing with children. Watch his Helix highlights. He is by far the best athlete on the field. It's not even close. It's not even close. I remember when I was in 8th grade, I was going to go to Cathedral. I went to Catholic school. My mom went to uni, so it was going to probably be Cathedral anyway. And I remember going to watch Tyler Gaffney play, because when I was in 8th grade, Tyler Gaffney was a senior at Cathedral. He was unbelievable. He was a man playing with children. There's a highlight against Lincoln where he's dragging a kid 10 yards into the end zone. He's just hanging on his foot. The guy was a man playing with children. That is an athlete that has never not been the best player on his team. I mean, think about some of the greatest San Diego athletes that you've ever seen, right? Now think about Tyler Gaffney. Tyler Gaffney looked really good at Stanford. He wasn't the best player on his team. Played 2 sports, still a phenomenal athlete. And he goes to the NFL, practice player for the Patriots, won 2 Super Bowls, just because he's part of the organization. It didn't really translate up there. Think about how great of an athlete he was. Think about Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush had a phenomenal high school career and even almost better college career at USC. And then he was a solid running back in the National Football League. So what am I getting at with this when it comes to like Jackson Merrill? These are all of these players that have been just elite athletes at a young age. Like, there's no way that Jackson Merrill was an athlete at any point in his life where he wasn't the best athlete on the field. Now, I will say this. Jackson Merrill did shoot up in terms of height his senior year to the size that he is now. That's a major factor. But even at his size, playing soccer and playing baseball, if you got A.J. Preller going out there to watch you play, you're not an above average high school player. You are a phenomenal high school player. They showed Manny Machado highlights of him in high school yesterday for the game. I was watching. He looked just like Manny right now, just in high school form. I'm like, how do you get this guy out at the high school level? So he probably never struggled at the high school level. He was a first-round draft pick. And in the minor leagues, he had always been successful. They flew up, brought him up to Double-A quick, brought him up to the majors super fast. I mean, if you look at it, they were a team, he's a player that is just never had any type of struggle. Now, he goes from being the best ever in every team that he's been on to being now a really good player. He's one of the better players in Major League Baseball, talent-wise, all over the place. He's not the best team on the Padres. He's not the best player in the Padres. He's not the best player in the league. And now for the first time ever, he is not having the success that he has always had. That's very difficult to experience at the major league level. That's why a lot of organizations try to keep players down a little bit so they go through some type of failure so they can learn how to overcome said failure in the minors where it doesn't matter, where the wins and losses don't matter, and you're not relying on the kid to help carry your team. Right now, Jackson Merrill's going through that. And without taking a deeper dive into stretches of him being in the minor leagues, this is probably, in the first time in his life, the biggest struggle he has ever had in terms of on the field. And that's what we're talking about. Like, we don't know him personally. I don't know anything off the field. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in people. People go through a lot of stuff in life. Everybody's got their own problems they have to deal with in life, and you got to get through it. I mean, I was talking to a friend the other day that had a XYZ all happen at once, and it comes all at once, and it's just a different, trying to get through your problems is tough. And we all got them. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people driving around right now that have a lot of stuff on their plate that they're trying to handle. But this is strictly on the field. This is the first sign of on-field adversity for this kid. And he's trying to make plays. He's trying to help carry the team. He obviously is a very competitive individual. He's trying to overcome all of these things as a 20-something-year-old kid in the highest level of professional baseball. The highest level of baseball on the planet is where he's struggling and trying to figure things out. That's a very difficult task to do. So when you look at a guy like Jackson Merrill and you look the way he's struggling, and I'm not saying they pulled him up too early. I mean, this was bound to happen. And the thing is, despite all of his struggles, he's still hitting 266. It's not like he's hitting a $150, right? Like Corbin Carroll last year went through a ton of struggles. And it looked way worse than Jackson Merrill. And Jackson Merrill, on top of that, had to deal with injuries. He had the hamstring that sent him back. He had the concussion for 7 days. He comes back from the concussion, gets robbed of a home run. He's gotten robbed a couple of times. So all of a sudden, it starts to mount a little bit. You're trying to find success, and it leads up. You finally get a good hit on a ball, and all of a sudden, it gets taken away. I mean, we saw Xander Bogaerts go through that for 3 months. You guys wanted him cut. It's going to happen. You're seeing that with Fernando. Fernando's starting to play his way out of it. But the only thing that could really change, it's not going to be mechanics. It's not going to be, who the hitting coach is. It's not going to be Mike Schilt. It's going to come down to the individual player. It comes down to them and figuring out ways to get out of these problems. That's what makes them elite athletes. That's why some guys with a lot of talent don't do well at the next level, because there's a mental side to this. And I have full confidence in guys like Fernando, who's starting to play his way out of it a little bit, and guys like Jackson Merrill, that they're going to play their way out of this. We've talked about the maturity of Jackson Merrill for the age that he is and what he has done in the clubhouse, what he says in post-game press conferences. I mean, these are things that it's going to turn around for him. He's going to figure it out. And he said it and it was quoted in the daily newsletter from Kevin Acee about his struggles and how it's difficult for him to just try to not think about it. Because when you start thinking about it, it's going to get worse. We talked about that with Xander Bogaerts. I mean, Xander Bogaerts is like trying to fix his swing. During this long stretch that he had where he was awful, he's trying to fix his swing in the middle of at-bats. You can't do that. When you're in a slump, in any type of aspect, right? And you're trying to actively fix things during the task, it never ends well. You could be on the golf course trying to make it through a couple of holes, and you're just in a rut, and you could, theoretically have the yips. I don't think Jackson Merrill's got that. And you're trying to make adjustments in your drive on the tee box, that's going to be a slice. You're trying to do it in the and on the fairway or in the rough, trying to get a nice little chip, that's chunked. It's hard to do. And this guy's trying to do it at the highest level possible. You see his body language and you see him after a strike. I mean, he looks like he's seen a ghost when he leaves the batter's box. And it's natural. It's reacting the same as anybody else would react in that particular instance. I do want to get to this. I don't know if Frank, did you have time to download it? Torey Lovullo on Ben & Woods.
Oh, not yet, no.
Because he does a good job explaining Corbin Carroll getting through a sophomore slump. And I don't even think you're at a level yet where Jackson Merrill is in a sophomore slump. He's in a slump in general. A sophomore slump means he hits around 200 in his second year of baseball after putting up big numbers in his first year and his rookie year, and he makes an all-star game. Sophomore slump is you have the entire season, you just suck. That hasn't been the case. Here's Torey Lovullo on with Ben & Woods talking about what the Diamondbacks went through with Corbin Carroll, another young player in Major League Baseball, young star, and how he was able to deal with it.
Yeah, first of all, I want to talk about Jackson Merrill and compliment the Padres and AJ and how they drafted him and developed him and put him through the system. And he's a really, really good player. At the end of the day, he's doing fine. He's going to be just fine. And these are just normal growing pains that young players have to go through. This is a very tough level. I think what happened with Corbin last year is that the league made some adjustments to him. He was trying to counterpunch. He was just late to figure out how to pull that off. And he became very hyper-focused on certain things that he probably didn't need to. And young players have young minds, and they go through young moments. And I think that was Corbin's stumbling block for the first couple months of the season last year, is that, okay, well, I know I can't hit this pitch. Mike Trout can't hit this pitch. Aaron Judge can't hit this pitch. But I'm going to try to figure out how to hit every pitch in every zone. What we've talked about with him is just shrink the zone, go to your strength, stick to your strength, and work through the pitches that you can't hit a different way. And I think he got back to his strengths. And rather than focusing on limitations, young players try to have no limitations when they step on a baseball field. And that's just the championship mindset that Corbin Carroll has. He's unbelievable. I wish you guys would get a chance to see what I see and talk to him the way I get to talk to him. Like, he's just a different breed, and he wanted to be the perfect baseball player. Nobody's perfect. You strive for excellence. I think that's what young players finally realize when they come out the other side.
It's a lot of insightful things from Torey Lovullo, who is one of the best. I think he's one of the best managers in Major League Baseball. I mean, you could just tell based on that right there. He had a great interview this morning on Ben and Woods, and if you haven't heard it already, go back and listen. All of our shows can be downloaded and listened to as podcasts in podcast form, on-demand audio, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Music. We're on Spotify. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find our shows by just searching for them. Search the Braden Surprenant Show. You can find our interviews. So if you go find Ben and Woods, you can go download and listen to that interview that they had with Torey Lovullo. It was really great. And he said a lot of good things. I mean, he compliments the Padres, obviously, with Jackson Merrill. There's a mutual respect there. I mean, Torey Lovullo gave Manny Machado a tip of the cap yesterday during their little presentation. It was a nice little gesture before the game started. But there was a lot of things that Torey Lovullo talked about in that particular excerpt that is totally true. I mean, young people in general, I would consider myself young, but I'm not as young as, these particular players. But when you are what you've done forever, and you're young, and you got money, and all this other stuff, you are even more so invincible than any type of young person. I remember listening to this in high school when I was playing high school football. Our head coach Sean Doyle said, "You guys think you're invincible at this age," and I think that's true from 15 all the way to 25, 26. I think you see it with 27, 28-year-olds, basically 15 to about 30. You think you're invincible. You see it with, the way people that are young live their lives and everything like that. You're at the top of your game, most athletic you'll be in your lifetime. You feel like you can accomplish anything, excited for the world, everything like that. You think you're invincible. And so these guys, as Torey Lovullo laid out, they think they can go out there and be perfect on a baseball field in a game that's not a game on perfection. I mean, it's the most imperfect game you can think of. It's the biggest game of failure. Yet a lot of young players, especially the young stars, like a Corbin Carroll, like a Jackson Merrill, they come up thinking they're going to be in a spot where they can they can do anything. And so they start, as Torey Lovullo said, they start working on things and trying to attack pitches that they can't attack because nobody can attack. It's very interesting that the things that he said, but what they did with Corbin Carroll is something that obviously I think the Padres might be working on with Jackson Merrill, is focusing on your strengths, understanding what makes you good and being really good at that. And once those players, these young guys, figure that out, they get back to being locked in on the season. They get back to being locked in and being back to those players that they were when they first came up. The league's going to adjust to you. I mean, there's a lot of people in Major League Baseball making a ton of money figuring out ways to get guys out and figuring out ways to win baseball games. You got some of the greatest minds in the sport trying to find little angles and watching video on trying to get the best players at this sport in the world out on a daily basis. And Major League Baseball has made the adjustment on Jackson Merrill. And now the question is, can Jackson Merrill make that adjustment back to Major League Baseball? I think he can. It just might take a little bit of time. I love what they did with moving him down in the order to number 5. Unfortunately for Jackson, he's got to do a lot of the heavy lifting right now with the team, with the way the offense is playing. So we'll see where Jackson Merrill's in the order tonight. We'll see if they leave him down at 5th, maybe move him down even more. I don't know how much further you can move him down, but Padres could really use Jackson Merrill to get out of this slump. And he's working hard on it. So we'll talk more about that as the show progresses. Hour number 1 in the books. Get ready for hour 2. Give us a call, 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show, hour number 2 of our 4-hour extravaganza. What did Ello call this when we first started? I forget what he called it.
I have no idea.
Hangout or something? I forgot what he called it. Oh, he called it the Braden Surprenant Experience.
Oh.
Welcome to the Braden Surprenant Experience. Braden Surprenant Show with Frank Marchese. Talking about, obviously, Jackson Merrill struggles, another 0-for performance last night. But you know what? With Jackson Merrill, he's out there competing in other assets. I mean, he's doing everything he can to help the team win. I mean, he said that in the postgame. Like, I'm not doing anything with the bat right now, but I tell you what, I'm going to go out there and make some plays. And he did. I mean, that home run robbery, he saved them 2-1. That's a game-saving play. In fact, Luis Arraez last night, after the game, was talking about, you know, because he's the hero of the game, right? He hits the home run. They only score 1 run. They get another 1-run victory, another 1-0 victory for the Padres. Padres are 5-1 in 1-0 games this year, which is crazy. But even like Luis Arraez, he said, yeah, I hit a home run, whatever, but it wouldn't have mattered if it wasn't for Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. It wouldn't have mattered. He's 100% right. I think that is something to say about this team, regardless of where they're at right now. Obviously, the glaring holes, the unsustainable play that they're playing right now. There's a little bit of that human element. And what's in that chest muscle with this Padres ball club. And you can't rely on a hope and a prayer, but I tell you what, they play higher than the level of what they are sometimes on paper. And it's the little things that they could take care of. It's the defense sometimes. It's the way that the Padres pitching staff has been. I mean, those plays that they made last night were remarkable. I mean, utterly remarkable. Insane. You get 2 home run robberies in the same game. It's awesome. No errors since July 4th. Anybody mind? Defensively for the San Diego Padres? Mike Schilt was asked about that great defense last night. Here's what Mike Schilt had to say on the home run robberies.
Talk to Toddy about it a lot. You know, it's like routine greatness, right? Jackson, again, the timing is impeccable. His ability to go back, have a feel for it. Again, let's remind ourselves that this guy's never played center field, right, until last year in the big leagues. And his natural ability to go out and make plays like that against the wall is fantastic. He robbed a 3-run homer. Now he robbed a 2-run homer. And, you know, Toddy being Toddy, again, converted shortstop, new to the outfield. So both those guys have 4 years combined outfield experience and going to make those plays. And it's also why, you know, listen, they win on both sides of the ball. You know, Jackson, he just saved a game tonight. You know, he won us a game. Toddy won us a game. So guys with that kind of athleticism and talent, they show up and they beat the other team in a lot of different ways, sometimes with the bat, sometimes with the legs, sometimes with the gloves, sometimes with the arm. But both those guys are elite in both areas.
They are. Those guys got the contracts they got, not just with the bat, but with everything else. I mean, there's a big reason why they got that kind of money. They can run, they can play on the bases. Right? The elite defense. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but how many times have you seen, how many times has it happened in baseball where you had 2 home run robberies in the same game where they needed to? It was phenomenal defense last night. Tony Gwynn Jr. was doing burpees in the press box, having to get up, get down with the hang a star last night, all the opportunities. It's like a Catholic mass up there. Up, down, sit, up, down, kneel, sit, stand, hang a star. Great performances overall, defensively for the Padres. Now, it's not sustainable. You can't be winning all these games 1-0. Some things that were pointed out in today's newsletter by Kevin Acee. Padres 5-1 in 1-0 games and 6-4 when getting 4 hits or fewer. which asks the question, are they winning with clutch baseball or are they skating on thin ice? I think it's a little bit of both. It is clutch baseball. And I will say this about the 1-0 games. The thing with the regular season is you're trying to build yourself up and be in a position where you learn how to play games, you learn how to win as a team, so you are prepared for when it really matters, and that's in the postseason. That's when it matters. Postseason baseball. And as we've seen from the last couple of World Series and even the last couple of World Series winners, you just really have to get in the dance. I mean, I was talking to my friend last night at Bub. I have a couple social sparklers for the game. I had a nice Buffalo Trace and ginger on a Tuesday. Mind? Anybody? Anybody mind? Some of you thought it was white wine. Really? You could be drinking white wine at a baseball game? Come on, man. It's Buffalo Trace and ginger. Okay, that's what I had last night. And whatever you start with, you got to stick with the rest of the evening. Otherwise, you're not going to feel good the next day. White wine, not my deal. I'm more of a red guy myself. But as we were sitting there, we're watching all the games, a lot of games on TV, right at Bub's, good place down there. And he used to work in Phoenix and did radio. He produced the morning show in Phoenix. And we were talking, and when he was in Phoenix, he's like, I can't believe, most of the times I was out there, the Diamondbacks were awful. Middle of the summer, it was talking about Kyler Murray and when he's going to be back and talking about the Cardinals, and then you'd be like, oh, well, and Arizona got smoked again. Diamondbacks got smoked again. He's like, and then 2 years later, they were in the World Series. He couldn't believe it. Not only did they make the World Series, Arizona, he's like, they ended up playing and losing to the Texas Rangers, another team that just came out of nowhere. Just totally shows you that you just got to get in. And so for most of the season, and this is why I don't freak out over every single game, the season is the practice for the test that is the playoffs. As long as you could get in. The Padres have built that 7 games above 500 cushion. Now, that puts them a game out of the playoff spot right now. They do need to play slightly better. But these close games are giving them experience in playing close games, which is what you're going to play in October. So I do think there is a little bit of a positive in that. I think there's a positive in that. And ultimately, all that really matters is whether you got more items in the left-hand column over more items in the right-hand column. The win column and the loss column. So I think there's a little bit of clutch baseball mixed in. But I also think they are, in fact, skating on thin ice because in these games, they're using their bullpen a lot. We've seen Jason Adam almost every single game. We've seen Adrian Morejon almost every single game. Jeremiah Estrada almost every single game. You can't have those guys pitch every single night. That's unsustainable. The other thing you can't do is you can't have your offense only put up a couple of runs. It's also mentioned in the daily newsletter today from Kevin Acee about the Padres' lack of offense and where it ranks with other teams that have made the postseason. The Padres have not scored a lot of runs this year, just in general. They've had a lot of shutouts, which is great. You love what the bullpen's doing. You love the pitching staff. You can always have, pitching wins in the playoffs. I don't know how many times I've had that shoved down my throat. Always about pitching. It's always about pitching. It's always about pitching. Well, the Padres have had good pitching in the past, and they've had top 5 pitching in the past in the playoffs and haven't really done a lot with it in some of those years. Because their offense has been, usually in those years, not very good. You do need some offense to win in the postseason. But you look at, and I got to go find exactly where Kevin Acee had it. It was the exact stat on some of the offense, or should I say lack thereof, with the San Diego Padres. And where it stacks up with teams that make the postseason. If you look at what it was last night, and here's some of the stats. They talked about, and they have some stuff from Mike Schilt, and we'll get to that in a second. This is a direct quote from Kevin Acey's newsletter today. True as that may be, talking about Mike Schilt, obviously positive about winning the 1-0 games. I just mentioned there's some reasons to talk about that. Good clubs generally also score a lot more than the Padres do. That's a fact. Remarkably, the Padres are 6-4 in games in which they get 4 or fewer hits. That's honestly kind of crazy. I mean, last night the Padres won a baseball game with only having one batter touch second base. Only one. The entire night. It was Luis Arraez as he was trotting the bases on a solo home run in the 7th inning. The Padres had one player touch second base, and they won that ball game. Now, despite being 5-1 in 1-0 games, the Padres are still just 5-11 when scoring just one run. I don't know, maybe like scoring one run is not necessarily a recipe for success. This is where you get to the skating on thin ice. No way to live. That's very stressful. It's very stressful for you fans out there trying to live this way. And not only is it no way to live, it's definitely no way to win. Padres are 7 games above 500. Now, here's the stat that I really want to address in Kevin Acey's newsletter about playoff teams and their offense and where the Padres are. We will tell you that stat and get your phone calls when we come back as the Braden Surprenant Show continues on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:17 on the Braden Surprenant Show on a Wednesday. I almost said Tuesday. I've almost said Thursday about 15 times. Today is Wednesday, and it'll be Wednesday all day. It'll be Wednesday at least until midnight. Then it'll be Thursday. And then I'll finally pay off the Thursday bit, I guess.
It's usually how it works.
That's how the calendar works. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. We're live each and every day from 10 to 2. If you haven't heard of us before, we're here each and every day after Bennett Woods and before Gwynn and Chris on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. You can follow us on social media at @B_SURP, at @BSURP. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you have your social media platforms. If I'm on it, that's my handle. If you don't find it there, I'm probably not on that social media platform. You can also follow our show on Twitter or X at @B_SURP show, at BSURP show. And you can follow our station account at 97 through the Fan SD. You can follow Frank Marchese at FMarks324 on social media as well. I think you've been hooked up with some parking.
So I've heard. And
so now you have to go.
Yeah, now I have to go.
We're going to see Frank at OTL
So
Saturday.
I will put down college football for a couple hours and hang out with you guys. I'll bring a glove too, just in case I'm needed.
You know what you should do?
What should I do?
Get a generator and just start playing out there. I think more people would be would be inclined to watch you play college football 26 out there than some of the OTL performances.
Well, I mean, just
that'd be great. You'll blend in well.
I'll bring both shirts, whichever team needs me. I'll bring a glove. I'll just fair warning, if somebody does get hurt and does need me to fill in, I will have less than no idea as to what I'm doing.
Good. You could play in the commit league. That's with the gloves. Everybody else plays barehanded.
Well, what the best part about a glove is I could take it off.
True.
True.
You could do that. We're gonna hit on Friday. They start putting the brackets up Friday at Fiesta Island. Gonna hit a little bit Friday night. Enjoy the night there. Might go watch the Padres game somewhere, and then Saturday we're gonna have a day. Saturday's gonna be fun. I'm excited for OTL on Saturday. Haven't been there in a couple of years. 3 games minimum. They put out the thing, and if you go 0-2, anybody that's playing OTL in the men's open, if you go 0-2. Then they seed a single elimination consolation bracket. So you at least get 3 games. I'm just hoping I don't go 0-3.
And a quick trip home early.
That's right. Well, the thing is the bracket for them on the 0-2 barbecue bracket, which I don't want to be a part of, that starts at 11 in the morning. So maybe you play a little bit longer throughout the day.
Well, there you go.
Last year, or the last time I played was like 2 years ago, they had you play Saturday and then again Sunday, and I was like, oh, really? So I had friends that went 2-0 and then they're done, and they were done at 9:30. They're done for the day, and they're like, okay, well, what do we do the rest of the day? And like, we got to come back tomorrow and play. And they're like, okay,
but I'm here now.
But I already got up at 5 a.m. today. I don't want to do that again tomorrow. But they have fixed that since they just put out a mass email when all the leagues start. Men's Open starts 7:30 on Saturday.
By the way, this is how desperate we are for entertainment right now in the studio. We are watching Tyler Glasnow pitch in Milwaukee, and we have on the other screen, we have the Toronto Blue Jays and the Chicago White Sox. That's how desperate we are to watch something right now.
Well, it is Big 12 Media Days.
It is.
Sonny
Big 12
Dykes
Media
is
Days.
talking today, so you could, we're not that desperate. Don't change it. I can't hear what they're saying anyway.
Sorry, Glasnow, but
no, I'd rather have that game on. At least that impacts the Padres somehow. Love to see the Dodgers go 0-6 in the last 6 games.
It would be great. It would be very nice.
Let's lock back in and pay off the tees. That was the important stat for the San Diego Padres last night. That was mentioned in today's newsletter by Kevin Acee. We talked about it going into break. Padres are 49-42. How many games above 500 are they, Frank?
Would it be 7?
That'd be 7 games above 500. That is correct.
Well, there you go.
What did they start the season record-wise?
0-0.
The first 7 games?
Oh, okay. 7-0.
7-0. What have they done since then?
500 ball, right?
They've played 500 ball.
Yeah.
Where have I heard this before? Probably, I don't know, at least once a week for the last month, 2 months and a half.
I think it was Monday, I think.
Yeah, Monday was probably the last time we actually did bring that up. So they're keeping the pace. They're playing 500 ball. Keeping that 7-game advantage. Now, again, remember last year they were around 500 or under 500 before the end of the ceremonial first half, up until game 100. But since the Padres like to play these 1-run games, these 1-0 games, and only score 1 run, this needed to be added in there. Since 2000, Kevin Acey did the research on this. Since 2000, just 16 teams that won at least 49 of their first 91 games, which is the Padres, had a lower run differential than the Padres' current plus 10 mark. Since 2000, I'm going to read it again. Since 2000, there's only been 16 teams in Major League Baseball that have won 49 games, like the Padres, at least, in their first 91 games, which is the amount of games that the Padres have played so far, and have had a lower run differential than the Padres' current plus 10 mark. Out of those 16 teams, this just shows you the lack of offense for the Padres. Out of those 16 teams, only 7 of them ended up winning more than 84 games. We've already talked about if the Padres play 500 ball the rest of the way, from their 7-0 start, they're going to be around 85, 86 wins. We all agree that's probably not enough to make the postseason. He goes on to say the Padres are not doing things offensively that winning teams do. Last night was the 41st time they had a quality start thrown against them. That is crazy. That is crazy. 41st quality start thrown against them? I mean, that's a lot of tipping of the cap. How many times we tip the cap, Frank? We do it a lot.
Yeah, way more often than we should.
Did it a lot last year. This would tell you that you tipped your cap 41 times. That is 45% of their games and the third most in Major League Baseball. The third most in Major League Baseball. That's not like dumb luck. Teams are getting fired up to play the Padres. You are helping their cause. Do you know the 2 teams that have had more quality starts thrown against them than the San Diego Padres? If you had to guess.
More quality starts thrown against them, probably the Rockies or White Sox.
White Sox, close, but no. Rockies, yes. Rockies have had 54 quality starts thrown against them. The second team was the Royals. The Royals are below 500. The Rockies have the worst record in baseball. The White Sox, the second worst. The Royals have a losing record. Pretty on par right there. The Padres have scored the 8th fewest runs in the major leagues. There is not another winning team in the bottom 12. Padres have scored the 8th fewest runs in the big leagues. And there's not another winning team in which a team has a winning record in the bottom 12. In the 3 seasons since the postseason field was expanded to 6 teams in each league, no team ranked in the bottom 8 in run production has made the playoffs. I'm going to read that again. In the 3 seasons since the postseason field was expanded to 6 teams in each league, no team ranked in the bottom 8 in run production has made the playoffs. Just 1 team each season ranked in the bottom half in run production has made the postseason. All 3 of those teams had what the Padres do, a top 10 pitching staff. Now, the Padres have good pitching and they have good defense. That's enough to potentially get them to the postseason. But it's not making life any easier for the San Diego Padres. It's not a recipe for success. It's not a recipe for winning. It's a very stressful recipe. Something that I think a lot of Padres fans probably don't want to have to watch day in and day out. That is what we call an offensive offense. We find this offense to be offensive. That's what it looks like. Bottom 8 in runs scored. And there's not another winning percentage team. There's not another team with a winning record in the bottom 12 of run production. And in 3 seasons since they've expanded the postseason, No team is ranked in the bottom 8 in run production and made the playoffs. Not a single one of them. So to go back to the question that was at hand that kind of started this hour. Padres are 5-1 in 1-0 games. 6-4 getting 4 hits or fewer. Are they winning with clutch baseball or are they skating on thin ice? I think they're playing with a little clutch baseball from their pitching staff, but I also think it's very unsustainable. And they're skating on some very thin ice right now. I mean, they're skating on some ice in the middle of July, and that stuff is melting fast. There's some light at the end of the tunnel. That's the trade deadline. And unfortunately for the Padres, which is going to lead to our next segment, can they afford to wait to the trade deadline? And when they do wait, is it going to be a dud? What are some things we learned about the first half of Major League Baseball? We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Braden Surprenant show on a Wednesday. Getting ready for Padres baseball coming up at 6:40. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. Gwen and Chris will take over for me at 2 o'clock. Frank and I are going down to the ballpark today, so we can gather up. And if you're going down to the ballpark tonight, get down there early because it is the Sun Hat giveaway.
Yes, it is.
First 40,000. We gave away tickets to that the last 2 days.
We all did.
Be cool to see some of those people out there. And like I mentioned, anytime these giveaways, especially the popular ones, get down there early. Instead of fighting the crowds, the traffic. I mean, I left my house yesterday to get to the game at like 4. And you get down to like 4:45. And then after that, it was like traffic got even worse. 163-8 grouping. At least coming south from North County. But we're going to be down there. We're going to leave right after the show and head down to the ballpark, so it'll be fun. As Padres try to win their first time in this month, 2 games in a row. Haven't done that yet. Haven't lost 2 games in a row in the month of July yet either. But it'd be nice to get another one here on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Padres a game out of a wild card position, 6 games out of first place as the Dodgers have been in a little bit of a slide. They've lost 5 straight. They are currently playing the Brewers in the final game of their 3-game series in Milwaukee, as it is scoreless in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Christian Yelich leading things off for the Brewers gets a knock to left field. Get you updated on that as much as we can. I will not update you on the Blue Jays and White Sox game. Nobody cares.
Eric Lauer's pitching.
Oh,
Former friend
of the show, Eric Lauer. Friend of the show, Brett Rippon's birthday is today, by the way.
There you go.
Happy birthday to Brett Rippon. Hopefully he has a fun time today. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get people fired up on a Wednesday. Here's Brandon in Carlsbad joining the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Brandon? Thanks for waiting on hold, man.
Hey, fellas. It's again, it's an honor, a privilege. What's up, Frank? What's up, B? Hey, you guys, I am fired up. I stay that way. But I want to touch on a couple topics real quick. You were talking earlier, Braden, which I love, because I work in the private athletic performance arena as a strength and conditioning specialist. You were talking about youngsters that parents think they might be the next great. And I'm the kind of coach, because I'm outside of the sport specific realm of being a coach of an actual sport. I just coach strictly on a few things pertaining to whatever sport the athlete is. A lot of times I have to tell these parents, okay, if your kid's the next Hank Aaron or Conor McGregor or Tom Brady, but right now he's a junior and he's 5'7", just to let you know it can happen. But I think a lot of people get lied to. Now, on the flip side of that, I wanted to give a shout out because I work with these kids and they're great and they're from your alma mater. Jet Taylor and Grayson Taylor, Olympic level already, about 6'7", 6'8". One I think is a sophomore, and one I think is a senior water polo players. Their dad is the great Aaron Taylor, won the Super Bowl with Green Bay back in the Brett Favre era, and then he was also a short stint with the San Diego Chargers. But you have these anomalies that also have the parents that work really hard. And I know at your school, I mean, you guys dang near people want to go there, people that you're scouting out there. It's like a small college almost. But that's an outlier. Now you flip that to where Merrill is. You have those players from that youth that you already know have the it factor. And I evaluate that on a performance aspect. And it's SPARK is what I go off of. It's an old Nike acronym. Speed, power, agility, quickness, reaction time. And the S can also stand for strength. And a lot of kids work really, really hard, and they might have a chance of just being a hard worker and maybe getting a college scholarship. That doesn't ever really pan out. And some of them you just know have the it factor on top of the work ethic. Now, flash to Merrill, I do believe he's going to get out of a slump. You can say sophomore slump, what have you. That could be the case. He is a great young, generational talent, because you just don't find them like that. And especially for our Padres, we've been really blessed over time having some of these youngsters that we know can turn out the way they're going to turn out. Now, like I always say, flip into the next subject with the Padres. The bats got to wake up, B. I'm sure the peanut gallery, you guys are tired of hearing me. But these one-run games, I think we got to act like we're treading on thin ice, because all these other teams ain't playing around. And look at our division. So it's not, we're scrappy and competitive still. I'll take the W, but we're skating on thin ice, dude, if we think we're going to just trounce in and be a little bit above 500 and then get to the big dance somehow, some way. We need to buck up, because if those bats light up, our pitching's done a hell of a job. Our defense has done a hell of a job. Those 2 robberies yesterday, amazing. And those were the game changers inevitably, because Luis Arraez, love him. And that was our the game changer right there. If you guys noticed too, he's got a great characteristics to him. He hit that home run. I don't think he meant to, but he looked back towards the Arizona dugout. But, he kind of has those little flinchy aspects. I love the guy. I love what he brings to our team. Hey, you know what, fellas? With all that being said, let's go Padres.
Brandon, thank you very much for the phone call. Long-winded Brandon today. Somebody in the chat's like, this is a diatribe. It was necessary, though. It's a lot of good perspective from Brandon. Again, working in the industry that he works in, that mental makeup side of things and dealing with the youth and everything like that. Again, it points out that we talked about in our first hour about Jackson Merrill. I think he's going to come out of this. I really do. I think he's got the right mental makeup for a lot of these things. But he's got to do it on his own. So, and I agree. It's not like the Padres right now. I think there's a difference. It's great that they're winning the games. Ultimately, that's all that really matters. But here's the thing with the one-run games, and Brandon brings up a good point. It's not like they're playing scrappy baseball and putting the pressure on and grinding out 1-0 games. I mean, it's a little bit different on the terms of style of play right now. They are kind of treading water. And they're skating on thin ice. And the Padres are going to have to either fix it with what they currently have or go out there and make a move. I still am sticking with, I'd rather have AJ Preller wait for the right move instead of just make a move, because that has been catastrophically bad in the past. We've seen that a couple of times. So we'll see what AJ Preller's got in store. But as of right now, that's kind of where you need to be. I mean, it's got to. They're just kind of treading water. I'd like to see them go on a little bit of a winning streak here. Unfortunately, they got a couple of guys in slumps right now. One of them being Jackson Merrill, the other one being kind of Fernando. He's starting to play his way out of it a little bit. And the bottom half of the order, as we've said every single day, probably for the last couple of months, not been playing very good. Not been playing very good. They're just not very good in general. I mean, it's not a, I will say this, it's not a playoff level bottom of the order. But this team, as we have learned from AJ Preller teams in the past, since he has taken over, we have seen that the team that he starts the season with is not always the team that he goes into the trade deadline with, which is never the team he goes into the postseason with. So until the deadline passes and you get to a point where this is your roster, it's hard to judge. I go back to Doug Gottlieb had that whole analogy with the team, and we talk about this mostly in the offseason. But if you're putting the team together and as you're putting it together and it's not complete, it's hard to complain about until it is the complete team. And you will not have the complete team until the end of the trade deadline. Then the team is complete. Then you can judge it as much as you want. The whole remodel comparison. You're remodeling your kitchen or your bathroom or something like that. And as the process unfolds, and there's a couple of things that are done, but not everything's done yet, you can't sit there and be like, oh, I hate the bathroom. Well, the bathroom's not done yet. Let them finish. And then we can make a decision. So from that standpoint, I think you still got to be patient. At least they're not getting their ass handed to them every night. So that is what I have on that. I mean, a lot of people want to blame the hitting coach. I mean, the thing with the hitting coach is it's more of an offensive philosophy than anything else, but he can't be the personal hitting coach for 26 players on that roster. I mean, there's a lot of things that even if he said and changed aren't going to get certain players out of slumps. It's just going to be hard to do. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get back to the phones. Kevin in Chula Vista wants to weigh in. Kevin, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I appreciate the last caller. A lot of energy there, and always good to hear from the fans with the energy. I look at what Tatis and Merrill were going through. Braden, and you know this from being a coach, this hitting is a mental dynamic and a rhythm, more importantly. And you see this in golf as well. When that rhythm gets upset from the standpoint of an injury, time off, what have you, I think this is exactly what these two guys have gone through, because the parallel to both of them is they went through their injury period. They were they were in the IL, and then when they came back, they were not literally the same, or they've not recovered fully in terms of the mental part. Sometimes you can try to do too much practice, too much hitting, too much batting cage. I like what Manny said the other day. He just said, you know what? I do see the ball, hit the ball. And that's basically what this thing comes down to. I hope that when the break comes, that it gives these guys a little bit of mental time off, because right now I see a lot of anticipatory anxiety, because unlike football and baseball, as you know, every single day you've got to come back to the park and face what you did the day before. There's not really a lot of mental recovery time. So that's kind of the way I see it. And fingers crossed, and because we need these guys, obviously.
Absolutely, Kevin. I appreciate the phone call. It's true. A lot of that stuff is true. But, see ball, hit ball. That's honestly, when you're in a slump, that's what it comes down to. See ball, hit ball. I mean, you got to keep it simple. When you are trying to do too much and you're trying to fix your swing. I mean, what I do is way different than what these guys do. These guys are at elite level playing this game, but just in softball, adult baseball, you get into a slump. But the easiest thing for me to do, I'm going to hit the ball as hard as I can right at somebody in softball. That's basically what I do if I'm in a slump. It's not even close to the same level that these guys have to deal with. But the one thing that's going to mentally mess up everybody in any type of game that involves swinging is thinking about it and trying to think about it while you're continuing to play. So I think a lot of this stuff for Jackson Merrill's mental, and I think he's going to be able to figure it out. And you know what? He's got 5 games left in the ceremonial first half. He gets to take a break, and hopefully that break is well needed. But I'm not concerned about him overall, that this is going to continue further than it already is. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Time to take a quick break from Major League Baseball and get into our sports thread for today.
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what do we got today in the non-Padres world?
I'm not going to lie. It threw me off when you said that because I'm like, wait, what's going on? Oh, sports threat.
Sports
That's
threat.
right.
Oh, hey.
That's my thing. Hold on.
Number 1.
We mentioned the luck that Kirk Cousins had yesterday as he now gets free haircuts for life from Sports Clips, but things aren't all sunny in Atlanta for Kirk Cousins. After a long silence, Cousins says he felt misled by the Falcons and might even have re-signed with Minnesota had he known that Atlanta was planning on drafting Michael Penix Jr. He said this as part of the new Netflix series Quarterback that just released. Cousins acknowledged that he thought the Falcons would draft a new quarterback in 2024, but was under the assumption that it would be a late-round pick and certainly not as high as a top 10 pick after Cousins had just signed with the team a few weeks earlier. Does Cousins have a fair gripe with the Falcons here?
I think he's had a fair gripe with the Falcons. I still don't know what the Falcons were thinking doing both of those things. They could have saved the money. If you really wanted to draft Michael Penix, right? Why not, I don't know, help him out by using all the money you spent on a quarterback to improve the offensive line, maybe improve the defense, maybe give him some weapons offensively. But no, they decided to spend the money on a quarterback like Kirk Cousins. Also, if you decided to spend the money on Kirk Cousins, why not, I don't know, help him out by drafting a first-round lineman or drafting a weapon for Kirk Cousins or something else. Instead, they invested in Kirk Cousins and they drafted Michael Penix Jr. And now you get a situation where you have two solid quarterbacks, obviously. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback, but unfortunately, it's a weird situation now. Now what are you going to do with him?
Yeah.
I think he has been stirred astray a little bit. I mean, they don't have to disclose all the plans with, but he's probably having a little buyer's remorse signing this contract with Atlanta when now he's competing for a starting spot that he probably won't win. And now Atlanta is sitting there with all this money they got to pay Kirk Cousins.
It's also surprising to hear him just come out and say that he most likely would have re-signed with Minnesota had he known he was going to do that too.
Yeah.
That's just interesting.
Number 2.
All right. We don't often go to the minor leagues for a story, but alas, here we are.
Does that to do with the Trash Pandas?
No. Last night, Miami's AAA affiliate, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, got a helping hand.
Scampi, the Jumbo Shrimp.
Got a helping hand from Mother Nature. With old friend Graham Pauley hitting, Norfolk Tides pitcher Roansy Contreras wound up to throw his next pitch just as a bolt of lightning crashed, which startled Contreras.
1.21 gigawatts.
He did not let go of the ball on the pitch because another old friend, Jacob Marcy, was on third and would have come in to score. Despite the extreme circumstances, the umpire still called the balk and Marcy came in to score. While the call was technically right by the letter of the law, should there be an exception for an unexpected act of nature?
I mean, it's not in the rules. Probably not. I mean, you got to think from the other perspective, like, oh, what? He gets a break because lightning struck? Like,
you're not expecting that. Like, come on.
I understand, but
that's
why
rough.
are they playing? Where's the alarms going off for the 20-mile radius that everybody's got, especially in that part of the country? So maybe it was further than 20 miles away. I mean, you get spooked by something in the sky somewhere else, it's not their fault. It's not in the rules. They played the rules fine. You know what? That's unfortunate. You probably shouldn't have a jumpy pitcher out there.
All in all, Jacksonville still ended up losing that game, so it didn't matter in the long run.
Still a funny story, though.
It is.
And I'm glad nobody got hurt.
Number 3.
2 toasted treats will head across the pond for a college football opener. Iowa State will play Kansas State in the first college football game of the year in Dublin, Ireland on August 23rd. And the Pop-Tart Bowl has announced that the 2 surviving mascots from last year's bowl game, that's how it was written.
I know.
From last year's bowl game will be headed to Dublin for the opener. Frosted Wild Berry and Frosted Hot Fudge are the 2 that will head over. with how much publicity this game brings college football and the NCAA as a whole, how long do you think before the Pop-Tart Bowl is considered for a college football playoff game?
That just involves money. They just got to bid for it, right?
Okay.
Or they sponsor one of the New Year's Six bowls.
It's fantastic.
It's so funny. And it's great marketing because every time I see this, I go, I need a Pop-Tart, even though I know how bad they are for you. I'm just like, man, I really could use a Pop-Tart. I mean, that literally happened. We were watching the Pop-Tart Bowl last year with the Pop-Tart mascots. I was like, man, I could use a Pop-Tart right now. And then ended up going to get Pop-Tarts. And I'm like, I hated myself after the fact. But that's where the marketing for the bowl games is really working out. Now they're using them for this game. I mean, week 0, guess who'll be having Pop-Tarts? Probably me.
And this
I want one right now.
This isn't an old bowl game either. This is not a bowl game with lineage. This is a fairly new bowl game as well. So to see it have this much traction is incredible.
I think it's better than the Cheez-It Bowl.
Absolutely, 100%.
Number 4.
Fan of the late MLB Hall of Famer Willie Mays, you should be planning a trip to San Francisco for September 27th and 28th. Hunt Auctions will be auctioning off items from Willie Mays' personal collection, with all of the proceeds going to Mays' Say Hey Foundation. Among items being auctioned off are Mays' Presidential Medal of Freedom, his 1954 New York Giants World Series ring, his 54 and 68 NL MVP awards, his Hall of Fame induction ring, and his custom 1977 Stutz Blackhawk 6 car. If you have the spare money, anything on that list that would pique your interest for the Willie Mays auction?
I'm not a big collector guy in that particular case, so nothing that really speaks to me, if you will. But is it? You got something on there?
I would love the World Series ring.
A World Series ring
to have the
cool.
New York Giants World Series ring, I think would be pretty cool.
With Mays' name on it, right?
Yeah, he's also got
How much is that one going for?
All-star jerseys and stuff like. I don't know. We'll have to wait until the end of September.
Wow, this is a silent auction. Yeah,
I have no idea. Do not know.
Pop-Tart Bowl.
So the state
I'm sure we
auction.
got Pop-Tarts in the vending machine. Do I need to have one for the lunchtime
Frozen
hour?
ones.
Do I need to have one for the lunchtime hour? Maybe. Who knows? We'll find out when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Thank you so much, Sports Station 97 The Fan.
This community, passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97 through the fans, presented by Kraft Taco. Time for a foul. New lunchtime hour is brought to you by the Kraft Taco. Bold flavors at 2 locations, Sereno Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. I've been told that Frank might be in luck next week.
I've heard this rumor as well.
So instead of going to the Kraft Taco on Saturday, he's going to go to OTL, and then maybe Kraft Taco might gift him some stuff on Tuesday.
I think Kraft Taco said, you know what? You're clearly incapable of basic directioning, so we'll just direction it to you. I think that might be the case.
That might be the case. Have you pulled up their menu yet?
I have.
I think we gotta know what you want. See, you're the one that's got some stipulations.
No, like I said, if I'm going to try something, I want to try the basics, because the basics are, if you can't get the basics right, then you're not going to be able to get any of the special stuff right.
All right. So what are your basics
So
for a taco
honestly,
place?
it's just carne asada street taco with cheese. That's it. That's really all I would want.
Okay.
Maybe 2 of those.
You like guac or anything?
No.
What?
Like I said, I'm a faulted person. I know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
The corn tortilla, not the flour tortillas, messing with my stomach ever since the surgery.
Well, the Kraft Taco has like the blue maza.
Fine.
So it's corn.
Fine.
It's the blue corn.
There you go.
So you don't have to worry about it.
There you go. See that?
Anyway. We'll talk about food in a second. People are asking us about the Pop-Tart stuff. Juan goes, have you seen the protein Pop-Tarts? I have, but I have seen like a bunch with like chemicals in it. Here's my thing on food. If I'm going to, and I'm not saying like I eat 100% clean, because I definitely don't. I eat very poorly. But I'm flipping to try to eat whole natural foods. And so we talk about some of these products, right, that are out there. To me, like here's my thing. It's like the Coke versus the Diet Coke thing. Like I don't want all that sugar. So your chances, you're basically making a choice. You want Coca-Cola, which is all sugar, or do you want Diet Coke, which is no sugar and no calories, but it's just a bunch of stuff that probably shouldn't be in your body?
I want a Pepsi.
The same thing applies to Pepsi.
Well, I want the Pepsi.
So you want the Pepsi with the sugar over the Pepsi Zero with the chemicals.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
The sugar, at least the sugar is like natural cane sugar most of the time.
Yes.
I would take my chances with the sugar, I think, over the chemicals. Now, that being said, I understand why you would maybe you want the taste of a diet soda, maybe you want the taste of the soda, you don't want the calories, and you don't want the whatever. All right, makes sense. I prefer the zeros over the diets. I like that form of chemicals, I think, a little bit better than the diet ones in terms of taste.
Those
I guess if we're
chemicals
splitting here. Well, here's the thing you need to know. In Europe, they don't have Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. It's all Coke Zero and Pepsi Zero, which makes me think that Diet Coke's got something in it that Europe says no good.
Yeah.
Not good.
100%.
They do have those alternatives now. They have like Olipop and they have Poppy. Those are great. I have my little app, the Yucca app.
Yeah.
Yucca, I don't know. Y-U-K-A. You can pronounce it however way you want. And so what it does is, it's pretty great. You scan it, you scan products, and it'll give you a score. Anything over 50 is like a good score. And it will go through, it has this chemical in it, has this is all natural, whatever. It'll tell you the pros and the cons of everything. And those poppies and those Olipops gets good scores on there. It's like 30. I would rather have the 30 calories with a bunch of real things in the soda than the no calories with all the chemicals in the soda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And like I had Poppy the other day, and Olipop's got some good ones too. They both have some really good flavors. They had a Doc Pop at the store the other day, and I'm like, "What is Doc Pop?" I mean, I don't even know what that is. And then I read the description, and I was like, "Oh, it's their thing on Dr. Pepper." Okay, makes sense. The cherry limeade hits. I love the cherry limeade Poppy. I like the cream soda Olipop. I mean, they're good, and that's like they're 30 calories, and they're made like their ingredients. I just scanned one yesterday. See if they had the ingredients on there. It was like they use apple cider vinegar. They use a bunch of just all natural ingredients, which I'd rather have than the chemicals that are in certain sodas and everything like that. And people are like, oh, it's not going to matter. It probably does. So that's what I would go with that particular thing. What got us on? Oh, on the soda stuff.
Serious
the
question.
Pop-Tarts. It was the Pop-Tarts. We'll talk about the Pop-Tarts in a second. I'll get back to baseball.
Brandon just asked in the chat, serious question. Do you call it soda or pop?
Soda. I'm from Southern California.
Yes, soda.
I don't think a lot of people call it pop anymore.
No.
It's mostly a Midwest thing, and that's even shrinking. Like when I was in the Midwest, I didn't hear anybody say pop one time. So, soda. All right. Let's go back to baseball. I want to get to this thing that we were going to talk about for a couple of days. I'm going to bring you in for this, kind of set it up.
Okay.
Was it Jason Stark that had this article? First half takeaways? I think it was in The Athletic. Let's pull it up. Jason Stark. What we've learned in the first half of the MLB season, 10 midsummer takeaways. And we'll kind of go through some of these and get a little buy or sell. But number one that I want to start with, and I have it on the sheet, the trade deadline outlook. With so many teams still in the playoff hunt, the 2025 trade deadline could be unusually quiet or come down to a final scramble. Teams like the Diamondbacks, Twins, Guardians, and Red Sox are pivot points, which asks the question that we are going to discuss. Is the trade deadline for 2025 about to flop? With nearly 25 teams still technically in the race, are we in for the most boring trade deadline in years? Buy or sell? You can go first, and then I'll do the same thing.
I don't think so, because I don't think that teams like the Twins and the Guardians, they're 14 and 15 and a half games out in the division, respectively. 4 and 5.5 games out in the wild card. I don't see them being like too much longer. Should we, shouldn't we? Arizona, I kind of see in the same thing. That's why we talked about it on Monday, that the Padres could effectively end the Diamondbacks season right here and make it very obvious whether or not they should buy or sell. The only one I could really see being an issue is the Red Sox. 3 games over 500, 6.5 out of the division, and a game out of the wild card. That's the only one of the will they, won't they's that I see not selling. So I think it's going to be a normal deadline. I think it's going to be that usual last minute scramble of guys trying to pick and choose who they want and try to get the deals done.
In this day and age of Major League Baseball, with more teams making the postseason, with more teams like being in contention, with
it dulls it a little bit.
With the balanced schedule, there's a lot of teams that are still feel like they're in it. I mean, if you look at Minnesota, one of those teams, right? They've just got on a little bit of a winning streak. Now they're only 4 games out of a wild card spot as we are here on July 9th, right? So you look at some of these organizations and there might be some that want to go for it. And I think there's going to be a couple of teams that might be right there that go, you know what? We're young and we have some rentals to give away and we can be ready for next year. That might be the cause too. But if you look at the teams in which they mention, right, that are in the hunt, there's only with the look of the wild card and Baseball Reference's page of teams that have, a percentage chance of making it. You look at the teams that are out of it based on it's Pirates, Nationals, Rockies, White Sox, A's, Orioles, and that's it. I mean, you look at Cleveland. Cleveland's 5.5 games out of a wild card spot right now, but they're 6 games under 500. The Minnesota Twins are 4 games out of a wild card spot. The Angels are 4 games out of a wild card spot. Royals are 4 games out of a wild card spot. Texas, we just saw, 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. The Red Sox are a game out. Then you got teams like the Mariners, who have never really added to their team at the deadline, or have never done a good job of doing that in terms of offense, really relying on Cal Raleigh. They're 5 games above 500 in the final wild card spot in the American League. That's the team that could also, who knows what they got. And look at the National League. I mean, the Cardinals are a team that are a game and a half out of a wild card spot that were willing to part ways with their highest paid player. Cincinnati, 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. Arizona still hanging on at 5.5 games out. I mean, Miami's been on a little bit of a resurgence here. I don't know why they would buy at the deadline, but they're 6 games under 500. 7.5 games out of a wild card spot. Then you got Atlanta, and nobody ever knows what Atlanta's going to do. I think a lot of people could say the Braves are out of it, but I don't think the Braves necessarily believe that.
I can't.
I don't think they ever will.
I can't see Atlanta being in it. They're 10.5 out of a wild card spot. They're 2-8 in their last 10. I can't see it.
I agree. That doesn't mean the Braves don't see it that way. I mean, the Braves might still think they can add like they did in, 2021?
By the way, have you noticed the time the Braves started to fall off?
They play no. When Adam started running his mouth.
When Adam got in my ear when we were out at Petco a couple weeks ago, saying, "Oh, I wonder who did what was the score of the Brave Met game last night?" And the Braves have been garbage since.
I can't say the Braves are out and they're going to sell because I don't think the Braves believe that. And if the Braves don't believe that, then it doesn't really matter. Because if they think they're in it and they decide to buy or they decide to not sell, then there's nothing you can do about that.
12 games under 500, 4th place in a very tough division.
Every time I say they're done, they're not done. They magically come back. So I until the Atlanta Braves are dead and buried past the deadline and they sell, it's hard.
And the morning show loves to make fun of Ben about this. But looking at the wild card, is there something that you notice about all the teams that are potentially in with a shot at making the wild card versus the teams that are not? Again, they love to make fun about Ben Higgins about this in the morning show.
I have no idea.
Every single team that is in contention for a wild card spot has a positive run differential.
Run differential. Yeah.
Everyone else is below. And the Braves are -5.
That's why expected win-loss is based on one run differential.
Yep.
Ben's right on that sense.
Oh, he is.
That's why, like, when you look at teams, and I've seen in the past where you pick like teams that could surprise people. Like a couple of years ago, the Reds kind of made a resurgence. Their run differential was in the positives, and they were near the bottom of the National League. And it's like it's the law of averages is going to balance out. They're going to start working their way up the leaderboard. Right now, it's been pretty cut and dry in terms of where the wild card is. Now, here's the other thing, though, too. Like the National League is
a lot tougher,
a lot more competitive teams, which has teams that are interested. The American League, there's not a lot of separation And that's why a lot of their teams still think that they're in it. I don't think it's going to be a dud. I think a lot of these teams are going to punt last minute. Like, do we think the Angels would be stupid if they did this, but do we think the Angels, if they stay around 4 games out of a wild card spot at the deadline, do we think they're going to be like, we're not trading Ward?
No.
They'd be foolish to do that.
Ward honestly doesn't make too much of a difference to their overall team.
I know, but he is one of the rental commodities
he's an expendable piece
that people like. Is a team like the Angels going to be a team that goes, you know what? We think we got a chance here. And then they end up adding a couple pieces. They don't sell any.
Do you do it for Trout? That's the only thing, because he has made it clear he doesn't want to leave. So do they try to maybe work something up for him? I think that's really the only other thing you can think of as to why the Angels would go for it.
Remember, they didn't trade Ohtani, so that was more of a get people to go to the games, kind of thing. But that's kind of the question I asked. Like Minnesota. Like if Minnesota gets the 500 at the deadline, are they all of a sudden thinking they're in it?
No, I can't. Especially in that division, I don't think so.
Just saying, but they're like if they're around 500, it gets you like. I mean, the Rangers are 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. They're 2 games under right now. I mean, 500 gets you 2 games out of a wild card spot.
I could definitely see Boston buying. I can't see Minnesota or Cleveland. I cannot see them buying.
I'll tell you who the sellers are when we come back. How about that? Braden Surprenant show as we roll on. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Noon lunchtime hour on San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the fans, presented by Kraft Taco. Bold flavors, 2 locations, Sereno Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. As we learned yesterday, is not hard to find.
Unless you're me.
Unless apparently you're Frank.
Unless you're an idiot like me.
He draws the foul.
What about what about the new drop you have?
Oh,
No,
I'm
the
just
other one.
stupid.
Oh,
The other one.
oh, that was a good one though.
It's good.
I feel very confident I was right.
That's Frank yesterday. That was Frank.
Yeah, that was me before. That was me saying the Chiefs play in Kansas. That was me going there on Saturday, thinking it wasn't there. Just so confident in my wrongness.
Somebody's like complaining about the breakdown we had on the on Jackson Merrill.
Okay.
Because he tweeted out a great breakdown of Jackson Merrill struggles. Because a lot of them are mental. This guy goes, I listened with intent to hear a breakdown. All I heard was a bunch of coach speak about how hard it is to get out of your head. No breakdown of the pitching plan opposing teams are using to get in Jackson's head. No discussion of visualization, which is used professionally. He goes on to say, to get out of your head, not a great breakdown, honestly. Well, you know what? If I knew the scouting report for other teams and how they want to attack Jackson Merrill, wouldn't we just give that to the Padres?
However, sir,
You
did listen, which is all we ask of you. And we appreciate you for said listening.
That's a great title on your part, by the way. You hooked them. It's great.
Do what I do. Not well most of the time, but sometimes.
Anyway,
We nail
Kraft Taco's not hard to find. Now, I teased going into the break about who I think the sellers are going to be. And I think it's very interesting on some of these. I think everybody has their own set of stipulations of why they can be a seller and why they can't be a seller. You know, you look at the White Sox, like anything that's not tied down to the ship, that's valuable to somebody, ship them off. That's the White Sox. I put the White Sox in that category. I put the Rockies in that category. And honestly, that might be it. Like the Nationals are the second worst team in the National League right now. They're 37-54. I wouldn't trade everybody there. I mean, you got a good young core that the Padres gave you at the trade deadline a couple of years ago that I wouldn't trade away. 2 valuable pieces. I don't think anybody wants other things for the Nationals, but they would be a seller. Pirates are a seller, except for Skeens. And I don't think they're getting rid of O'Neal Cruz either. I can't say the Braves are sellers until the deadline approaches because every time I think that they're down and out, they're not.
I don't see how they're not sellers, honestly. And that's not coming from a Met fan. I hate the Braves perspective. It's you're 12 games below 500. You're 10 games out of a wild card. It's just it.
They've
no.
had success in the past, adding on the fringes and
This
turning it around.
is not a fringe, though. You're 12 under 500. That's not a fringe.
Just telling you, they've had the success. They believe in their team. They got a core group that's not going to be traded away. The only thing they could trade is really Marcell Ozuna. The Braves have always had 2 good catchers. They're not going to trade Sean Murphy either.
The only fringe that the Braves are on at this moment is the fringe of the top 10 in the draft next year. That's the only fringe that they are on at the moment.
When did they win? 2021?
I think so.
They won in 2021, and I bet they had to have been better than what they were.
They were.
What they're right now. What's today's date? The 9th?
Yes. July 9th.
July 9th, 2021. I bet you they started making their push already. Yeah, they're 1 game under 500.
Yeah. They're out. Sorry.
What about the Nationals in 2019?
They were leading the division all year that year, I think.
2019?
Or got close. Oh,
2019 when they won the World Series. The Washington Nationals.
I'm trying to remember.
They were way under.
Really?
On this particular, by the time that July rolled around, they finally had turned it around. But the first half of the season, they were awful. They had like their first whatever amount of games, whatever it was. They were not great.
I'm trying. I can't remember.
I remember because the Padres were getting compared to them in 2023. Like, oh, look, see, they can turn it around. Why can't the Padres turn it around? Nationals was the second worst team in baseball to start May that year. May 23rd, they were 19-31.
And finished with a 93 and 69 record.
Never say never. I can't do it though. Like it's not that math. I mean, from a on paper perspective, yes, there'd be no reason for me to put, like, I'm not putting money on the Braves buying at the deadline or them making the playoffs.
Oh, the All-Star break must have been earlier that year because they did not play on the 9th. July 7th, they were 47-42.
They finally started to claw back into it. The Braves always find ways somehow. So I don't think that they're actually going to sell. If they sell anybody, it's Osuna. But even then, they have a lot of guys under contract, part of their core that they're not going to part ways with. And nobody wants Ozzie Albies. So I don't view them as a seller because I don't think they believe they're a seller. I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying I don't believe they believe they're sellers. Miami, I think there's a couple of pieces that they could get rid of to improve again at the next for next year, but they're playing a lot better. I think Arizona eventually becomes a seller at the deadline. I know they're only 2 games under 500. I think the injuries play a major factor in that. Cincinnati, I still don't really think Cincinnati's in it, even though they're 500. I haven't seen anything out of them that goes like, man, this team could really compete in the postseason. But they got Terry Francona, so you never know. And if they feel like the thing is Cincinnati needs to make a splash because they haven't been anywhere close to the playoffs in the last God knows how long. That's basically it in the National League. Cardinals are an interesting case too because they were ready to get rid of Arenado during the offseason for money. And they already went into the last 2 years going like, we're not going to compete for 2 years. And here they are 6 games above 500. American League, White Sox are going to sell. A's are an interesting study. And Frank and I talked about the A's. And there's something about the A's I think alters their trade deadline plans. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 Sports Station 97 through the Fan. $12:34 on a Wednesday. Today's still Wednesday. It's not. I still think it's Thursday. Been thinking it's Thursday all day today. Maybe I just want it to be Thursday. Just because I want it to be Thursday doesn't mean it's going to be a Thursday.
I want it to be Thursday too, because that means I can go home and play NCAA football today.
Did you already buy it?
I have already bought it, yes.
I need to do that. I need to buy the game.
No sense in doing the $100 pre-order for the 3-day early access since you're hours away from no longer needing that.
Yeah, I don't need to do the pre-order. Is that what the pre-order is? $100?
For the 3-day early access plus a bunch of Ultimate Team stuff, but $70 for a standard pre-order.
Yeah, I don't care about the extensive pre-order. Ultimate Team is the biggest waste of time.
Yes.
Is that a hot take? I don't think it is. Ultimate Team is the biggest waste of time for any video game ever. I don't mind the Diamond Dynasty stuff with MLB The Show. There's a lot of cool things you can unlock.
Yes, I've been a Diamond Dynasty fiend this year, and it's mostly been the cards. That I love collecting the team sets, the team cards. Love it.
But
no other Ultimate Team has that.
Ultimate Team sucks.
Yes.
It will never be cool. I'm sorry. It's a waste of everybody's time for all the video games out there. Speaking of games, we need a contestant for our Midday Sports Standoff. If you can call in and take me down some sports trivia, you will be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Park MGM Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Motley Crue on September 19th, and a $100 gas card. Catch Motley Crue's Las Vegas residency at Dolby Live at Park MGM September 12th through October 3rd. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Say the name, Frank.
What name?
Does that help you?
Oh, Oaklamento.
The Oaklamento A's. I think they're an interesting case study at the deadline. They're 38-55, 11 games out of a wild card spot. Obviously not contending this year. They don't have a lot of players on expiring contracts or rentals that are worth trading for. But they do have a lot of decent and a lot of good young baseball players part of their organization. We're not talking about the Luis Severinos of the world that signed a 3-year, $67 million deal, who probably was just going, these guys are going to give me money and then I'm going to get traded at the deadline, who has already asked for a trade. We're also probably not talking about Brent Rooker, who signed a 5-year, $60 million deal. Here's what you have on the Oaklamento A's that Frank loves so much.
I didn't coin that, by the way.
I
think it was the Giants broadcast that did that.
The Oaklamento A's. The thing with the A's, and this is why I said, at the deadline and the trade deadline, it's not just what the record is of teams, it's what the situation is with every team from a business standpoint. Like somebody in the chat earlier talked about the Angels why would the Angels sell or whatever? They didn't trade Ohtani when they could have. Well, the thing with trading with Ohtani, if you're the Los Angeles Angels, is he was the only thing that was getting anybody to go to your games. Again, this is a business. Professional sports are a business first and a sport second. As much as we all love the sports that we watch at the professional level, we do have to understand it is entertainment business first, the betterment of the sport second. These organizations are in business to make money. They're not in business necessarily to win. Now, winning does help you make money, but at the same time, it's still a business. So the Angels trading away Shohei Ohtani at the deadline, whenever that was a couple years ago, would have been incredibly foolish from a sense of nobody's going to go to our games the entire second half of the season, and he's the only reason why we're selling tickets. So, yes, that would have been incredibly foolish. They were making so much money on Ohtani being on their team. That outweighed any future prospect or any good team that might be formed with what you would have got out of Shohei Ohtani. That's obviously the calculation that they made. And to be honest with you, I probably can't disagree with that. I don't care how many great prospects they could have gotten for Shohei Ohtani. Most of the time, and a lot of the time, they don't always pan out. Let's say they even got the package that Juan Soto got the Nationals for the Padres. Even if the Angels got those players, they still are not making as much money in ticket sales and everything like that than they did when they had Ohtani. They're not. It was more beneficial for them to keep the guy than it was for them to get this package of minor league prospects that they don't even know if are ever going to work out. That was a simple stipulation for them, and that was the situation that the Angels had. I say it every time. If the Padres are close to being a contender, since the way their payroll is structured, with their core players getting older every single year, just like everybody else, but already up there in the 30s in the prime of their careers, you can't punt on prime seasons of Machado and Bogarts and Fernando and their core group of players. You can't do that. Otherwise, you turn into the Angels. That's the stipulations for the Padres. Now, you could go through the list of a lot of different teams. Again, it's not just wins and losses when it comes to the trade deadline. There's a lot of business factors in here as well. And I bring up the A's because I think the A's are very interesting. This is why I said last year at the trade deadline about trading for young players the A's had. Because here's how I would view the A's if I was running the A's. What has the Oaklamento A's done in the last couple of years? They followed the playbook of like Dean Spanos. They followed the playbook of the Padres when they moved downtown in previous ownerships, right? And if they continue to follow those playbooks, again, from a business side, as they move to Vegas and they want to make a splash in a town that already has hockey and a town that is got a lot of major events going on, a town that has the National Football League, they have to be good. And what do all teams do when they build a brand new stadium? They load up their roster. Think about what the Padres did in 2004 when they opened up Petco Park. Think about the differences. 2003 was arguably one of the worst seasons, if not the worst season in San Diego Padres history. They were awful. You can't open up a ballpark with a team like that. You can't open up a ballpark with a team like that. You got to load up your roster. And what did they do? That's exactly what they did. They spent money. They went and got guys like David Wells. Now, maybe a little bit past where he was at. But they got some players in there that could be competitive and put a good product together. And guess what the Padres did? In the first 3 years of being at Petco Park, they won 2 division titles. They brought in Brian Giles. They got Ramon Hernandez. They got all these names that were not on the Padres in 2003. I mean, they were bad in 2003. And they were bad in 2001. I mean, they were 64-98 in 2003. The final years of Qualcomm Stadium, they dismantled the team. They were rough. And then what did they do? They got a bunch of good players to bust in the new ballpark. And look at the fun, exciting, everything like that. Yeah, this is a previous ownership. This is what teams do when they build a brand new stadium. They got to get people to go to the games. So now you're talking about the Oaklamento A's that are going to Vegas. So I asked the question of Frank during the break, as we talked about this in the past. The earliest that the A's think that they can have opening day in Las Vegas is 2028. What year do you think the Oakland A's are going to try to be really, really good? Probably 2028, 2029. That's their real window here. Their real window is not, prime years of Mason Miller and prime years of Tyler Soderstrom and prime years of Jacob Wilson and something. Their prime years are 2028, 2029, 2030, when they're trying to make a big splash in their brand new town, Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. So start looking at, if you want to think about teams that the A or players that the A's can trade away, you look at a guy like Brent Rooker, who's 30.7 years old, according to Fangraphs. By the time the new stadium opens up, it'll be 33, 34 years old, getting paid $15 million, $19 million, and maybe a vesting option of $22 million in 2030. That is not a guy that's probably going to be breaking in that new stadium. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded him. Maybe not this year, but maybe in the future. Obviously, any of those rentals are gone. Luis Severino's not part of that plan. You look at guys like Shane Langoliers. He's 27 years old. By the time the new stadium opens, he'll be into his young 30s. They could probably part ways with a guy like him. I don't think they will. They've already said that they're not. But those are the type of stipulations that you have at the trade deadline more than just wins and losses. Mason Miller, 27 years old. He becomes a free agent for Oaklamento in 2030. By that time, he'll be in his young 30s. Maybe that is a player that they think should be part of the team when they open in Las Vegas. I would not be surprised for them to make a big splash. When in Las Vegas, when they show up to Las Vegas. You know, I look at the Washington Nationals, for example. If they don't lock in some of these players that the Padres had given them for Juan Soto, those could be players that the A's go look for in free agency. Now, the only one that makes sense in terms of contract is C.J. Abrams. But when you look at it, those are the type of players you got to be thinking of. I would not be surprised if they get in this young group of players, this generation of players, the ones that might be hitting free agency at age 26, like a Manny Machado, and then throwing a ton of money at that guy. Because every team has done that in the past. When they open up a brand new stadium or they move to a brand new city. I mean, what did Dean Spanos and the Chargers do when they left? They did everything that they told San Diego they didn't want to do, but they knew was popular because they're trying to win over a fan base. They bent over backwards. Here's our powder blue jerseys that we never wanted to switch to full time because we didn't want to do it. We didn't want to spend the money. Oh, LA? Oh, you think they're cool? Yeah. Hey, look at our brand new jerseys. This is what organizations do. So I find the A's to be very fascinating at the deadline of what they may or may not make available. Do you think they care about like their Oaklamento fans for the next couple of years while they wait for Las Vegas? No, because if they gave an S about them, they wouldn't have moved in the first place. They don't care. They don't need to be competitive in the next 4 years. They need to be competitive in 2028 and 2029. That's where their target window is. Any of those players that they have under contract that are not going to be part of their window of winning, which is 2028 through 2030, they're going to ship off. That's what they should do. We ready for the midday sports standoff?
That we are.
Let's get to it.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank is playing today.
We have Mike in Santee playing today. Mike, how are you?
Good. Happy Wednesday, guys.
Happy Wednesday. At least somebody knows what day it is.
True.
All right. So today's topic, again, 5 potential answers here on this topic. I know, I've double checked. Teams, MLB teams, whose primary logo features the color yellow. I will give you a hint. The Padres' primary logo is the brown, so they will not be an answer to this. Okay? So any major league team's logo whose primary logo features yellow. Got it, Mike?
Yep, got it.
All right, you have the first pick.
So again, not the hat
I'm going
emblems.
to go with the Athletics.
The A's are all green.
Oh,
Pirates, their P's yellow. Should
Correct.
probably hydrate a little bit, but I digress.
Phrasing.
Mike?
let's go with the Brewers.
Correct.
I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Ray of Sunshine.
That little star does have yellow in it.
They are the rays for the sun, just as much as they're the rays for the animal.
Mike, 2 more answers.
Would St. Louis Cardinals?
One final answer. St. Louis was it. They have the yellow bat.
The
Brady.
yellow bats for the Cardinals.
This one might be a little bit tougher.
The only other guess is there's like a little bit of yellow in the Mariners like compass.
It's the first time I've had to buzz you in quite some time, as a matter of fact. Brady?
Yellow in primary logos is insane.
Hey,
Yellow.
we got a tie right now. So, Mike?
I'm going to guess the Royals.
No, unfortunately not. So that's 2 strikes for you, Mike. Braden.
The crown for the Royals is not yellow, or is that you technically call that gold?
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, no.
Okay, so that doesn't count. You said it's okay. You said it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Is it the Braves with the tomahawk?
It is.
The
it is
slight,
the Braves.
slight gold on the tomahawk.
lashing.
Are you kidding me?
It is the lashings.
That's a foul. That's a foul.
I'm not taking a foul for that.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Mike, great job. Great job playing today. I'm surprised Braden got it.
I can't believe A's isn't on there.
Again, the A's is all it's.
I'm looking up tons of logos of the A's. It's just the green A, like
Yes,
the
it's
gold
just-
piping
yeah,
around the
because
A
it's-
doesn't count.
No, it's an all green A.
All green A.
Since they moved to Oaklamento.
Oaklamento, they took the gold out.
Yes.
Oh man. It's funny, like I want to know, can you pull up the logo, like which logos you pull from?
The team primary logos.
I know,
That's
but
what I was
there's
doing.
so many of those, like all over the place. Because we did one of these before.
Okay. So
And I had to find like a bunch. I was like looking, like, was this the one that he's talking about?
Why are you looking during the game?
This was after the other one you did.
I say, why are you looking during the game?
After the game?
During the game.
I wasn't looking during the game. I
Okay.
told you after the last time we did this question, I looked at the logos and I'm like, which ones are he looking at?
All right. So
That was the baseball one. Remember the one with the baseball in it?
Yes.
Which logos of the baseball? There's like a bunch of them that have random baseballs in it. I'm like, is this
It's
the
not.
primary logo for them or not? Which logo page do you use?
I will share that after the break because I got to find it again.
Because I could go on like Chris Creamer's sports logos and they'll be different than the ones you said. Because there was a couple of times, because I did this game with my friends with the baseball in the logo.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. Frank didn't have this one on there. There's a baseball in this logo. I'm curious which one you pull from.
No, that's fine. I will.
Which one is
do
the
answer.
primary? I just know that the emblem on the hat is obviously massively
Yeah,
different.
no, that's not the team's primary logo. That's an alternate.
Here's a question for you
Mhm.
that I had before. Let me double check so I can find it again. What's up from Round Rock, Texas? What's there to do in Round Rock? Go to Austin?
Apparently, meet this chatter. Apparently,
I've been in Round Rock once, staying there for when we played UT.
don't they have a minor league team out
They
there?
do. The Express.
Yes.
The Rangers on them. All right. The trivia question I had was the where is the deal? There it is. There are only I think there's only 2. There are only 2 MLB cap logos, which is the ones that they use for MLB on the standings. There's
Yeah.
only 2 MLB cap logos that are not letters. Everybody else has their letters on there.
Toronto.
Yes.
Would it be Baltimore?
It would be Baltimore.
Okay, there you go.
The 2 birds are the only two teams that don't have letters on their hat.
The reason why I would have questioned Baltimore is because the Oriole is wearing the cap, but it has the O on the cap, so I didn't know it.
The Brewers might trick some people with the glove, but it's an MB.
Yep.
There's another question for you. Which ones of the hats aren't the city letters?
You know what? I have a feeling I'll have to answer that later.
You do. When we come back, Braden Surprenant Show, San Antonio Sports Station, 97.3 Fan. All right, I got to figure out the sources for Frank on the logos. What did you say you use? You're not disclosing.
I can't say it on air because then everyone will know where I'm getting the stuff from, and they'll cheat. As if I say that as if some of them don't already.
That's right. I asked how many of the cap logos are not for the city name of the MLB teams.
Seattle has the S.
We're excluding the birds, of course.
Okay, so
it's not the AL East. Take it off.
Not in the NL East either.
There's here. Let me go through them real quick. There's one in the Central. There's two in the AL West. One in the AL Central. Two in the AL West.
That don't have the
city name. No, the letters are not there. The letters don't stand for the city name. Does that make sense?
Do you mean so
like the St. Louis Cardinals have STL for St. Louis?
So Texas does it. So it's Texas because they play in Arlington.
So it's not the. It's most cap logos have the location.
Yes.
There's 3 in the American League that have the team name.
Oh, the White Sox.
SOX.
SOX. Oaklamento.
And you could say it used to be, but now it's not.
Say Anaheim.
The Angels.
The Angels.
The A is for Angels, not Los Angeles. That'd be the 3.
There you go.
So there you go. All right, let's kind of recap some of the stuff that we had on the show today. We haven't answered the Pop-Tart question. We'll get to that later.
Also, DJ Royal in the chat's about to get lit up, too.
Athletics alternate number 2 uniform for 2025 is gold with green. Who is he talking to? Is he talking to himself?
I don't know.
Adam Paul's content on the A's always being green or something. Or not always being... I don't know. I'm done with the uniforms. Yesterday, news for the Padres. Robert Suarez was added to the National League All-Star roster. Are we surprised by this? So what happened was Chris Sale is not going to participate. He's hurt. So it opened up a spot, and they picked Robert Suarez to go. So Suarez is going to the All-Star game. He joins Jason Adam. He joins Fernando Tatis Jr., and he joins Manny Machado. Robert Suarez is the next best guy? Next best deserving? I know he's got the most saves, and it's not even close. Is that what we're going with criteria-wise? Is that the most important criteria for accolades? Having a lot of saves? Is that having a lot of wins?
I don't know, honestly. It's one of those things where if he didn't get in on the first time because of the saves, then how does he get in the next time?
I mean, he's not even one of the better. He's probably is he the 4th best pitcher in the bullpen right now? Who's better?
Yeah, probably.
I would say he's probably the 4th best pitcher in the Padres bullpen. And this is not a knock on Robert Suarez. Not saying he's oh man, this guy's terrible. There's no way he should be in the All-Star game. But I look at guys like Adrian Morejon, and I feel like Adrian Morejon's getting snubbed right now.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll pick him up if somebody else cannot participate. But Robert Suarez has pitched in 41 games. Morejon's pitched in 44. So Morejon's pitched in more games. Morejon's 6-3 with a 1.79 ERA. Robert Suarez, as a closer, is 2-4 with a 3.72 ERA. Now, wins and losses for closers are skewed anyway. They're going to not factor into the decision too many times, and if they do, it's probably going to be a loss because of blown saves and everything like that. Adrian Morejon's got a 1.3 B WAR. Robert Suarez got a 0.7 B WAR. Morejon's pitched more innings than Robert Suarez, 40 1/3 compared to 38 2/3. He's only allowed 8 earned runs, as mentioned with the earned run average. He has 37 strikeouts, which is less than Robert Suarez. And his ERA plus is 2.33 to Robert Suarez's 1.12 ERA plus. What the ERA plus tells you is Robert Suarez is 12% better than an average pitcher. Adrian Morejon is way higher than 33% better than an average pitcher. I mean, the guy's had a great year. So they decided to go with Robert Suarez over Adrian Morejon. It's like the Padres got the pick, right? So,
I mean, and Go Aztecs does bring up a good point, is that the All-Star game does lean more towards closers when it comes to relief pitchers and stuff. But I mean, at that point, then you can ask the question, well, then why didn't Suarez make it the first time? And Adam did.
And Adam did. Well, Adam's been way better.
Yeah, Adam's an all-star. He's not an all-star replacement.
Right. He is an actual all-star. But he had a 1.7 WAR. He's got a 1.58 ERA, 45 and 2/3 innings pitched. I mean, the guy's 264 ERA plus. I just find it, I mean, I thought it was interesting that Robert Suarez even got the nod with what his ERA is and everything. I know he's got a lot of saves, but the Padres have always had closers with a lot of saves.
Yeah.
They're winning games 1-0. He's going to have a lot more opportunity to get saves than most teams.
Yep.
A good team with a decent amount of wins, 7 games over 500, who win a lot of one-run games and go 1-0. Or sorry, win a lot of 1-0 games. You're going to have a lot of saves. I think the save stat in general needs to be changed. There's times in a game that I think when you have one of your pitchers coming in, taking on the top of the order in like the 7th or 8th inning, to me, that's more of a save than the 9th inning against the bottom 3 guys in the lineup. I mean, Suarez came in last night, faced the bottom 3 guys in the Diamondbacks order.
That's just a part of the order that came up.
I know, but is that
say
like
the same thing? You say the same thing with runners in scoring position.
Did he
with the
save
Padres.
the game?
Yeah, it was 1-0. Shut the door.
Or did
yes.
Adrian Morejon early in the game save the game with guys on base when he had to come in and near the top half of the order?
That's why there's a different stat for that.
It's called a hold.
It's called the hold.
Why are holds more important than saves? I mean, why are holds less important than saves? I would argue that holds are more important than saves.
Because holds don't end the game. Saves end the game.
Just because it's the last inning.
It's baseball logic, man.
I'm just saying I think it needs to be reevaluated. Just like wins and losses for pitchers. Like last night, Ryan Walker threw 1 pitch and got a win.
Lucky pitch.
That's called a good night in the big leagues right there.
Exactly
1 pitch, got
right.
the win. He comes in a 3-1 game, gets out of the inning, the disaster for the Giants in the top half of the 9th inning, throws the 1 pitch, gets out of the inning, and the Giants in the bottom half walk it off on a crazy 3-run inside the park home run.
By the catcher.
Triples alley, turned an inside the park home run alley. Giants are down 1. Giants tie the game. Here comes the run. And the Giants walk it off in the 9th. That gave Ryan Walker a W.
Yesterday, go ahead. Yesterday, by the way, first time in Major League Baseball history that a game was started with an inside the park home run, Oaklamento with Lawrence Butler, and ended with a walk-off inside the park home run, San Francisco with Bailey.
That's pretty crazy.
That's wild.
I mean, I understand the idea of wins and losses. I just don't think it needs to be valued when it comes to evaluating pitchers. Because the biggest argument I've always heard about wins and losses, I think a lot of people are starting to steer away from wins and losses being a contributing factor for pitchers. But the argument I always heard was, hey, well, you know what? You got to be if you can't win games when you pitch, you're not that great of a pitcher. And you throw the other situations out there, like the bullpen giving it up or this or that. And he's like, well, if you pitched better, they would have won. Okay.
And then what happens when you have Padre games like last night, where your offense doesn't get on second base?
Right. Well, if you put up a 0, you're going to win. Well, you know what? Merrill Kelly made 1 mistake, and then the argument's like, well, he should have made that 1 pitch. It's like, it's not a big value thing. Well, how about the fact? What if you left the game with a shutout, and your bullpen gives it up? Guess who's not getting a win anymore?
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting a win anymore.
Yeah.
Now you get a no decision. So evaluating players on wins and losses, I think, is outdated. And I think the saves needs to be tweaked a little bit. I understand the closers. The closers are like the fun entrance, and you always see them with the They're usually guys that throw the ball really hard, and it's more exciting to see. I get that from an all-star perspective. I feel like Adrian Morejon deserves an all-star bid.
100%.
I think he deserves one more than Robert Suarez does.
But as far as tweaking the save role, you're relying on the scorer of the game, his opinion on who he felt had the biggest impact in the game. So then you're leaving stats up to human error.
Would you rather have but like here's where, like, in the strategy in a situation where it would make sense. I would rather have, if my closer's the best, your closer's your best relief arm, usually, right? So if your best relief arm, why are we traditionally using him just in the 9th inning? Because it's the last inning, right? I mean, that's what the old logic says. But if the Diamondbacks are coming up with their top of the order in the 8th, or top of the order in the 7th, would you rather have Yuki Matsui face the top of their order and Robert Suarez face the bottom of their order? Or would you rather have Robert Suarez face the top of the order and Yuki Matsui face the bottom?
No, I understand your logic, and that's a logic that especially comes in during the postseason. But I think during the season, of course, every game matters, but
right. So, but my thing is, let's say they pitched Suarez last night in like the 7th. Let's just say it was 1-0. Top of the order came up in the 7th. He goes in, mows down the order in the 7th, and then the last inning is Yuki Matsui against 3 pinch hitters. Does Yuki Matsui deserve a stat credit that we value for bullpen and closing arms, where your closer is used in a different spot because you're trying to win the game? Is it fair to Robert Suarez he doesn't get a save if that happened to be the situation? I just think it needs to be a little value. If we're going to start getting rid of batting average and stuff like that, I'm just saying, I think you should evaluate the save stat a little bit.
And Adam Paul in the chat, we're not saying that wins and losses are irrelevant. They are still relevant. They just shouldn't be weighted as much as they used to be, as far as evaluating the quality of a pitcher.
Paul Skeens sucks then. It's win-loss. It's terrible.
There you go.
I mean, he is the biggest portion of that. And it kind of goes into like what we've learned from the first half. That was kind of one of the observations that was mentioned with the wins and losses. There's a couple other things that we didn't get to of what we learned from the first half of Major League Baseball that we're going to get to. Like the big trade that happened. What's the fallout from that trade after we've seen a couple of weeks of it? And is this team great or are they a little flawed? Maybe they're just deep. We'll talk about that too when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 1:18 on a Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I only got 2 more segments where I have to pretend it's Wednesday. Pretend I actually know what day it is. Because for some reason, since the 4th of July and Friday last week, I just haven't been able to figure out what day of the week it is.
Buddy's brain is broken.
Must be. The 4-game series, all night games against the Diamondbacks in the middle of the week also kind of throws you off. Brewers in trouble again, as it's 2-1 Dodgers, bases loaded, 2 outs, top 7 with the bases loaded. They walked Ohtani with the bases loaded to give him a run earlier. Ohtani, I saw they had a stat like Ohtani was only hitting .211 with runners in scoring position this year. That was kind of remarkable.
Yes. Another thing that was remarkable was Ohtani not swinging at a borderline 3-0 pitch.
He took it for ball 4 and walked in a run. Amazing. A couple other things. We saw earlier today, Major League Baseball is going to use the ABS system in the All-Star game. You for or against that?
I'm for it.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Those are the games that you have to experiment with
Exactly.
now.
It's a game that MLB has clearly showed it doesn't matter. So there you go.
100%. I think it's going to be fun to watch that when Manny challenges like 3 pitches and save at bat. Are they going to put a limit on that? Because they're all not on a team, right? Like they're on a team, but it's not like trying to get a team win.
I think
it should be unlimited.
I think the actual limit is going to be you have 2. If you get 2 wrong, then you're done. But if you get it right, you get it back. Which I don't think that should be the case. I think you should get 3 for the game. Period.
They get 3. Yeah, but every other challenge in sports, if you get it right, you get to keep it.
Yeah, once, not unlimited.
Yeah, in the NFL, you get 2 challenges. If you keep, as long as you get 1 right, you get to keep.
Right, but baseball, what they did this spring training was it was unlimited challenges. That's why we saw Brett Sullivan challenge one umpire 12 times.
I thought it was 3. I thought you got 3, and everyone you got right, you got to keep.
No.
I thought that's what they were experimenting
with.
No,
do you remember the spring training game that went viral for Jesse and Tony laughing at the umpire?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was like the 12th time he'd been challenged by Brett Sullivan.
I thought it was 3. I thought you only got 3. I think because that was the part of the strategy of the thing was
that might be just the overall challenges.
The overall rule. I'm curious what they're going to do for the All-Star game for that. Tomorrow we'll have a little bit of time to dive into that NFL Players Association thing.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Collusion in the NFL. Who would have thought?
Let me get the curb theme ready.
Dun, 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 dun,
I wasn't going to play it now. I'm just saying that was.
Gotta say it. That's some of the housekeeping things. Again, if you haven't done so already, follow us on social media. B_SURP at BSURP, at 970 the FanSD, at BSURP Show with an underscore in between B and SURP. Like my handle, and you can follow Frank at FMarks324. So we talked about what we've learned for the first half. A little bit, mostly on the trade deadline outlook, and that took up most of our last hour. But there's other things that Jason Stark had in his article that we want to break down. The second one has to do with the big move that has happened in Major League Baseball, the one that kind of surprised everybody. Rafael Devers getting traded to the San Francisco Giants. It's been enough time now. What is the aftermath? Giants' bold move to trade for Rafael Devers is praised for its ambition, while the Red Sox are criticized for poor communication and lackluster return. So the question that is asked is, did the Boston Red Sox botch the Rafael Devers trade? I think it depends on what they were trying to get out of it. Determines whether or not they botched it or not. What is your initial take on did they botch the Devers trade?
Did
the Red Sox botch the Devers trade?
No, because they wanted him out. That's all they cared about is they wanted him out of the team. They didn't want to deal with him and his attitude anymore. They wanted him out. They got what they needed. That was it. They wanted him gone, and that's what they got.
I 100% agree. People are upset with the way things went down in the sense of you didn't get anything back, or you didn't get the haul that like Juan Soto got the Nationals, which I don't think you were getting anything close to that.
No.
But the thing was, and that's why I said what I said before, it comes down to what did the Red Sox try to accomplish? They weren't cutting payroll. to try to improve their roster in the future. They weren't trying to sell to focus on the future. They didn't want Rafael Devers on their team anymore.
Yeah, they wanted to get rid of a headache.
He was too much of a headache for them. Now, they're not all innocent in this particular case. I mean, there's a lot of other things. Like Jeff Passan had a huge article about how the Red Sox handled things from their side and the things that they did wrong. Was it the right move to trade Rafael Devers? If you're the Red Sox and you don't want him part of the team anymore, yeah, it probably was the right move. Another question, though, is have the Red Sox become irrelevant under this front office? I think that's very interesting. This is a second front office. It's not the same front office that traded away Mookie Betts for nothing, that didn't re-sign Xander Bogaerts, although that was a little bit more that the Padres paid a little than what the Red Sox were willing to pay for Xander. But now you look at the Devers trade, and it was strictly just to get rid of him. It wasn't to recuperate anything back. And if the Giants are paying for everything, then you're not going to get as much back anyway. Would you say the Red Sox become irrelevant under this front office?
No, I don't think so. And part of the reason why is because they're over 500. They're in a playoff spot. Irrelevance comes from being out of it, having no draw whatsoever, playing bad baseball to the point where just nobody cares what you're doing. And people do care about what the Red Sox are doing right now. So no, I don't think they're irrelevant under this. They're not a standout the way they have been, but they're not irrelevant.
They're not like what they were in the past where they're getting a lot of top players. I mean, I think they've kind of mishandled some of the stuff.
100%.
When it comes to the keeping players and not keeping players, and that was a circus throw. The Brewers game. Look out. Miguel Rojas just threw into Minnesota.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Awful. Is Buster Posey now one of the best general managers in the game? For just acquiring Devers?
No,
he's not. Until they start winning and everything. Just because, and it's funny, like, I think back to AJ Preller being called Rockstar GM by Matt Kemp. He went out and made a bunch of moves for big-time names as a small market team.
Who were all gone by that year's trade deadline, by the way.
Right, but it was like, he's a rockstar GM. Look at all the moves that he's made. Just acquiring high name, like household names, to me, doesn't make you a great GM.
No.
You make big moves, like you're a big move GM. That doesn't mean you're a great GM. To me, to evaluate whether or not you're a great GM is wins and losses, division titles, how many times you make the playoffs. Like AJ Preller, I think, is a pretty solid GM in Major League Baseball. I think he's great at acquiring talent. He's done a great job of refilling his farm system multiple times. He goes out there and gets big-time talent. He's not afraid for that. I think he's one of the most exciting general managers. It's very exciting to be a Padres fan around trade deadlines and off seasons because you never know what AJ Preller is going to do. I don't know how much of that involved with Peter Seidler at the time, but I will say this. I mean, he keeps it exciting, and he's good at acquiring talent because, again, he finds a lot of players that are very talented that other teams covet, and he does a good job of replenishing his farm system. But just because he acquires big-time names doesn't make him a big-time GM. If you look at what AJ Preller's done, they've made the playoffs 3 out of the last 5 years. I would say that's a successful run as a general manager. The goal should be making the playoffs.
This is what, Posey's first full year as a general manager?
Yes, we're not even fully through it yet.
So
they just fired Farhan Zaidi.
Yeah, no, you can't judge a guy based off of 1 year and one move, because any team can overperform for a season. Any team can underperform
Look at the Arizona
for a
Diamondbacks.
season. Exactly. Any team can do that. So it's those year in, year out additions, subtractions, moves that he makes to try to make the team better, as well as you mentioned, being able to build up a farm system, being able to draft. This is a real test this weekend that he's got to try to draft for his first draft. So that is what you judge him on, not, oh my God, he got a great player. Is he the greatest general manager of all time? No.
What have we learned about the Dodgers in the first half of the season?
They're annoying.
In Major League Baseball, are wins dead in the Cy Young race? Some say, some might not. And are the Tigers for real? We'll answer those questions and get you ready for Padres Diamondbacks coming up to finish up the show on Setting's #1 Sports Station 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods on The Fan.
Coming up on Thursday, another day of Padres D-backs.
And we'll be joined for some smart baseball by Letters to AJ at 9.
Listen to Ben and Woods weekdays from 6 to 10 on 97.3 The Fan.
This hour is brought to you by the new Case Sapphire Reserve for Business. Introducing the business card that gives back all you put in.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Action Matters.
Attention former childhood residents of juvenile detention centers in San Diego. If you were housed at either Polinsky Children's Center, San Diego County Juvenile Hall, Youth Transition Campus, or any other San Diego juvenile detention center and were a victim of sexual abuse, now is the time to come forward, as you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. San Diego County Probation Department faced complaints about rampant sexual abuse for decades and failed to protect youth inmates in these facilities. If you were housed at a San Diego youth detention facility at any time and were subjected to any sexual abuse from staff members, other inmates, or residents, you may be entitled to substantial cash compensation. Call our San Diego Juvenile Detention Helpline now at 800-890-5302. The deadline to file a claim may be close. Call now to get the justice, closure, and the financial settlement you deserve. Call our law firm's Juvenile Detention Sexual Abuse Helpline right now at 800-890-5302. 800-890-5302. 800-890-5302.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Fishing is back on The Fan. Let's Talk Hookup has returned to 97.3 The Fan, Saturday 7 to 8 a.m. and Sunday 7 to 9 a.m. Get all the latest fishing info. Let's Talk Hookup weekends on 97.3 The Fan. This program is sponsored and produced by Let's Talk Hookup. The opinions and offers expressed are not those of Odyssey Incorporated, nor 97.3 The Fan.
As the experts in transmissions for over 50 years, there's nothing at AMCO we haven't heard.
So when I hit the gas,
It's just a belt. And nothing we can't fix.
it's going. What's that?
From transmissions to brakes and everything in between. No credit? Finance your repair at AMCO.
Exclusions apply, may not be combined with any other offer. Limited time offer. Participating centers only.
People who know go to AMCO. AA MCO.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Get one free set of Brake Best brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Final segment of the break. Look beautiful outside today. We had the shades open.
Unfortunately, it's going to be hot today, too.
Probably. I'd rather be hot than cold. My personal preference.
You and me are completely different.
I don't like being cold. I don't mind like the like Quinn and Chris were talking about this the other day of like what you keep your hotel room at.
Mm-hmm.
I think anywhere between 67 to 71 degrees is money. 71 is a little high, but that's kind of the range. I like sleeping in cold temperatures. I don't like being out in the cold though.
If you do not instantly walk into your hotel room and crank that air conditioner all the way down as low as it can go, you're doing it wrong.
What are you setting the temperature at?
Whatever the lowest setting is, whatever the lowest temperature is.
Like you go as low as 59?
Yeah.
That's frigid, dude. That's insane.
Polar bear, man. I don't know what else to tell you.
You go like under 60 degrees?
Yes.
What's the lowest it goes? Probably 60, I would imagine.
It depends on the hotel. It depends on the air conditioner that they use.
Why don't you go sleep in a freezer then?
I would if I could.
Walk in.
I 100% would.
Frank, when he makes all his millions, he's gonna build his house with a walk-in freezer, but that's gonna be his bedroom. He's just gonna live in the walk-in freezer.
Got my igloo ready to go.
I have a friend right now. She's in Alaska.
Ooh.
It's like 50 degrees.
And that's a hot summer day for them.
She's miserable about like how cold it is in Alaska. You prefer that?
Yes.
Every day?
I hate sweating. I hate it.
I mean, I don't really sweat that much, but
it's
60 degrees.
You were in almost 400 pounds at one point.
That's true. Well, that's pretty cold, dude. I think anywhere between 67 is like the lowest I'll go to about 71. 71 is probably the highest in terms of like the hotel temperature, especially when you don't have to pay for the AC.
I will say though, now that I have lost as much weight as I had because of the surgery, my feet are constantly freezing.
Your feet?
Yes, my feet are constantly cold.
Are freezing?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, that's about it. That's the only complaint I would have is my feet are constantly cold. But other than that,
I can't tell you last time my feet were cold in general, unless I guess it was snowing outside. Are you wearing the proper footwear? Or?
Yeah.
Your feet are always cold.
Yes.
I'd rather have, but again, like my friend said, you'd rather be hot than cold. That's psychotic. No, I'd rather be in warm weather than cold weather. But let's think about all the places I've lived. San Diego's warm. Texas, very warm. Tucson, Arizona, warm. I'd rather be in warm weather than cold weather. It's beautiful outside. It's great. Do I want it to be 115 degrees? No, probably not. Nobody does. But if I had to pick between 70 and 50, I'm taking 70 every single day of the week.
Nope, taking 50.
Because I can't say, you can't compare, like, to me, anything over 100. I can survive in the 90s. It's not that big of a deal. Is it great? No, but it's not like we're comparing 100 degrees to 20 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to compare the mild temperatures of warm and cold. So 70 to 50. Because anything in the 60s is nice.
Yeah.
I think high 70s to low. Let's go high 70s and high 40s. What would you rather be?
I'd rather be in the low 40s.
What?
I would much rather be in the low 40s.
Oh my God.
When I was living in New York.
The high 40s?
When I was living in New York a couple years ago, my nightly routine was I would wear socks, like thick pajama pants, a hoodie. I'd have the hoodie up over me, And because I have a CPAP machine, I was able to like put the covers completely over me, and I'd have my windows open during the winter.
What?
Yes.
Doesn't that defeat the purpose of being like all wrapped up?
No, because it was perfect. I did find out though, if it does get too cold and I don't have my hoodie up, I will get a headache from it. But other than that, I was happy as a clam.
High 70s, mid to high 70s is like perfect. Way better than the high 40s. I hate having to like put a bunch of clothes, like just bundle on the way out, and then you get to your place, and it's like always super hot inside the rooms when it's cold outside.
Because you're a thin-skinned Californian, that's why.
Pull stuff. I can handle the cold. I just would prefer it's warm. I think cold has hurt Frank's sense of direction, says Go Aztecs.
It certainly. I'll take a picture with the Tony Gwynn statue tonight.
I hate, like, I don't mind visiting the cold. I don't want to live in the cold. If I wanted to live in the cold, I'd be living in some frigid place right now. But I don't want to live in the cold. Dealing with snow? Shoveling snow?
Oh, snow is... Oh, stop with the shoveling.
I'm going to, like, heat my car up?
Yeah, shoveling stinks, but you get to jump in the pile of snow that you built from shoveling after it, and it makes it all better.
I'd rather jump into the sand at the beach.
No.
I'd rather be at the beach.
Sorry.
I can't do the cold. I don't like it. I can survive. I prefer that it's in the 70s. And I can handle high temperatures all the time. I don't mind being out in the hot sun. I mean, the kids that we coach always complain about the heat all the time.
If it gets over 75,
Carmel Valley.
If it gets over 75, I'm begging for an air conditioner.
75?
Yes. If it gets over 75, I want an air conditioner.
We're carpooling down to the game. What's the temperature in your car? Do I need to bring a sweatshirt?
About that. See, my car does have quite the personality to it.
Okay.
It has an electrical issue. So
you don't have AC?
No.
You do Windows then.
I do have Windows.
You can survive with Windows in California. You can't do that in other hot states.
I do have Windows.
Okay.
I do not have radio. That doesn't
you
work.
work in radio and you don't have radio.
No, do not have that. The worst thing though is that the horn doesn't work, or rather it works when it wants to, which is usually behind a cop or in a drive-through. That's when the horn will go off and I have to get out of the car and knock on the fuse box to get it to stop.
Hold on a second.
That hasn't happened in a while, though.
Your car horn will just blast on its own.
Yeah.
Without touching the horn.
I could slam on the horn all I want. It won't work.
But randomly while you're driving.
Yep.
Your car horn will blast.
Uh-huh.
So you're telling me right now.
Go Aztecs. It is the most awkward thing in the world.
Hang on a second. You're telling me right now, when we leave to go down to Ballpark.
Oh, it most likely won't happen.
While we're on the freeway, it could just randomly start blasting the horn?
Yeah.
Does it have seatbelts?
It does have a seatbelt, yes.
We might have to do a bit in your car. I mean, that is wild. Well, at least it works. I mean, that's the best part.
Oh, yeah,
I
it
guess.
works.
I mean,
it works great. It's just...
I'd rather have a car like that gets me from point A to point B than a car that does not work.
I'm still trying to diagnose whether or not it's like a computer issue or if it's the fuse box, because if I knock the fuse box, it works.
I might have to drive.
But a lot of the things that...
Yabba dabba do. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to see... It's going to be Fred Flintstone's car. Maybe that's why your feet are so cold. Because they're just hanging out because you're trying to get the thing moving. Does it get hot when you brake?
No, it does peel a couple layers of skin off.
Oh,
though.
my God. No wonder your feet are cold. Frank drives Fred Flintstone's car. We need to get this guy a car endorsement or something like that. We need to help him out.
Please.
He drives Fred Flintstone's car. He's got no AC. The AC is the windows because there's just blowing through. You know what? I think Fred Flintstone's got a better model than you do.
But again, because my car has personality. So the AC will work when it wants to.
In the wintertime when you don't want it to be.
Usually when it's cold. But if I'm driving for a long time, like if I drive, like when I drove to Phoenix in March, it'll work. But after you acknowledge that it works, like if you roll up the windows or if you're like me and you go, hey, thanks for some air conditioning, then it shuts off.
I can't believe you're going to drive that thing to Phoenix.
I've done it already.
I'm
going to do it again in November.
You know, Woods is San Diego's concierge. You could probably get a deal at Sedano Ford.
I would love that. Even if it was for a Ford, I would love that.
No, yeah, you're kind of picky car.
I'm a Chevy guy. I'm a Chevy guy.
You are a Chevy guy? What do you drive?
Chrysler.
Okay, well, I guess if you had your choice.
If I had a choice, well, no, if I really had my choice, it'd be a Ferrari. But if I had my choice of affordable car, it would be a Chevy.
My family's bought like 12 cars from Bob Stahl and Chevrolet. Bob Stahl and La Mesa. I bought 2 Camaros from, and our guy down there, Ozzy, Oswald. He's the first time my parents bought a car from him. I was in like a bucket, like in a stroller.
Okay,
it was just me. They have bought cars from him since then, and now I have bought 2 cars from him. And I don't even think he sells. He does like the fleets now. He's not even. Yeah. But when I get there, it's like Ozzy takes care of it, easy. I wouldn't say I've only had American cars. I had a Ford Ranger in high school. I had a 2003 Ford Ranger Edge that I got at Toyota of San Diego in high school. It was under 10 grand. That was the stipulations on when I got a car. And then in high school, at the end of high school, when I was working at Starbucks, I used the money, and instead of the truck looking like an SDG&E truck, I East counted my truck, as is tradition for the Surprenant family. Because if you go to any of our functions, there's a bunch of lifted trucks all over the place. So I put 33 BFGs, all-terrain tires on it. I did a spindle lift. Thanks to the guys at Off-Road Warehouse back in the day.
Attaboys.
Got a spindle lift, which is basically like putting your truck on stilts. And then I didn't want it to be like this.
Yeah.
Like the East County look where it's like, front's up top and then the back's down low. So I put 3-inch blocks in the back. It was a sick truck.
For me, I've only had 3 cars. My first car was my first car was a 99 Chevy Lumina because it was cheap. Then after that, I had my mom gave me her Ford Taurus for a while, and then I got this car,
Ford Taurus.
Yeah, and then I have this car, the Chrysler 200 that I have now. I've had this car for about 7 years, maybe.
So I had the Ranger all through high school. I had it all through college, and I was driving back from college from Fort Worth to San Diego. After I graduated, my sister decided to come with me, little caravan. I had all my stuff in the back of this truck. I was planning on keeping this thing till it just died, and it had over 150,000 miles on it. It was great. And I got hit by a gas tanker.
Oh no!
They were getting on the freeway, it was on I-10 in Tucson. We finally got back to Tucson, a place that I'd been before multiple times, a place I used to live when I was in college at U of A, a place my mom went to school. And there's a restaurant we're going to go to for food that we haven't been to in a long time. And we're going. So you have that little feel like almost home, right? Because at that point, I'd already driven 15 hours. We had stopped in Las Cruces and stayed the night. And then I had 5 hours left before I was going to be home in San Diego. And it's at I-10. And it's it's 2 lanes. And I'm in the fast lane. And there's a gas tanker in the slow lane. And getting on the on-ramp, or cars coming on the on-ramp, and the gas tanker just decides to go over into the fast lane because he wants to get out of the way of the cars that are coming on the freeway.
But that's illegal.
Doesn't see me, who's in the fast lane, and all of a sudden, it's like Indiana Jones, and the tunnel is closing.
Yep.
It is gas tanker, it is guardrail, it is me, and I slam on the brakes.
Yeah.
And I almost miss it.
Oh.
Back fender cleans out the right side of my truck. Destroyed all the panels, busted the A-frame, cracked an axle. I mean, the thing was jacked up. And, when you looked at it, well, it didn't look too bad. And then I had to call the police and all this other stuff.
Then you drove it. And...
No, I didn't. I didn't even get to drive it.
Oh.
Immediately got it towed out of there. I'm on the freeway. And the highway patrol guy was like, "You're lucky he stopped. He never stopped. They never stopped."
Yeah.
The truck drivers never stopped. They're moving on.
Yep.
And so I'm stuck in Tucson, and my mom knew a friend that had a mechanic and brought the truck over. And the guy was like, "Look, like, it's probably totaled. If it's not, it's going to take me a month to fix. And you can't obviously stay here a month." So I had to take all my stuff out of the back of the truck, throw it in a U-Haul, finish the last 5 hours in a U-Haul. And I ended up getting like $9,000 for the truck with the insurance thing.
Oh, there you go.
Because he was the truck driver was over the amount of time he was supposed to be driving per shift.
Yep.
His left turn signal was out.
Oh, good. Even better.
All this other stuff. And so he was at fault, and it was like unsafe lane change. So I ended up getting $9,000 for the truck that I paid for 8 years prior for $10,000. Use it for a down payment for a Camaro.
Yeah, not too bad.
And then
I really would.
That's where I was like, I had the money for like a down payment, and like the lease wasn't too bad. And I was like, well, let me go look. And all the trucks were like 10 times more expensive than the Camaro. The Camaro was actually relatively affordable when I bought it out of college. I mean, I got it stock. There was nothing cool about it.
Yeah.
It was
it's a Camaro. It's a cool car.
I know it was a cool looking car, but it wasn't even. It was a V6. I didn't think it was a V6. I think it was like the smallest engine that was the first one I got, and then payments made sense, and it was cheaper than a truck. And my parents were like, "Don't you want a truck again?" I'm like, "You got $60,000 laying around? Buy a truck?" Like, I have no job. I just got out of college. I can afford this. I have a little bit of money here. I'm gonna be fun and have a Camaro as a young person. And then COVID happened when my lease was up. And so I got to custom make it when the factories opened up. And that's the Camaro I have right now.
There you go.
And I bought it, and I'm going to have it until it becomes not practical anymore. Until I'm in a relationship or have kids or anything like that, it's a practical car for a young 30-year-old.
Go Aztecs. My car is not a death trap. Okay. It is a safe car. It just has some electrical quirks that give it a personality.
There's nothing about Frank's car that he described where I'm like, I'm getting into a death trap. It's just it's just not.
There's
a lap of luxury. He's not going to be on, that show, Blink My Ride. I don't know if I can say on the radio or not, but you know what I'm talking about. But you know what? It gets you from point A to point B. That's a lot better than people that have cars that have issues that can't drive.
Maybe Braden will be asked to be dropped off a block away.
Go Essex is on your ass today, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
He challenged you to a college football 26 game.
I know. And we're on it. We're good at that.
Thursday, tomorrow.
There it is.
Tomorrow. If you're going to buy a Chrysler, at least get a Jeep, dude.
I'm sorry. No, I had the money for a car and car. And that was the first car that I fit in, that I had been working on, that drove nice, that looked somewhat passable, that was in my price range. So I took it.
So your three cars were, you had the Taurus, you have the Chrysler. What was the other one?
The 1999 Chevy Lumina.
Wow.
Which Chevy was not even making the Lumina for mass production after 1997.
Well, they don't even make the Camaro anymore. If you went to a Chevy place right now and you had the funds for whatever, somebody, you got it, a listener is giving you a blank check to buy a car. What car are you buying at Chevy?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably an SS. Probably one of the newer SS. Those cars are nice. They're really, really nice.
The which one?
The Chevy SS.
No. What is the SS?
It was.
Which?
I think it's just called the SS. Actually, hold on.
Because I have a Camaro SS. That's why I'm curious.
No, I know, but there's just a straight Chevy SS. Or at least there was. I don't
Chevy
know if it's
SS.
still in
Oh, I see what it is. Super Sport?
Yeah.
You like that? Do they even make that anymore?
I'm looking right now, actually.
It says 2017 Chevy SS. That's what you would get.
Let's go with performance. I would love to get a Corvette, but I also would love to, live. I get, yeah, they don't make it anymore. I guess the only production car they really make is the Corvette now.
That's the only high performance
vehicle.
vehicle.
That's not an SUV or an EV. That's the only one. Or a truck. That's interesting. I did not know that.
I will say, as much as I like Chevy, the next car I probably get, if I can afford it because they're expensive, is the Bronco. I like the Broncos.
Yeah, the new Broncos are nice.
Depends on what the Bronco
I'll give
is.
Ford that.
Frank and Ferrari goes hand in hand.
I want one.
Would you buy a used one?
You have to if you want to buy some of them.
It's true. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We'll tell you how this car trip works out. I'm not that concerned. Go Aztecs is pretty concerned. Coming up next, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Scraby, Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.